Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the opening round of Series 6 live from iRacing's Virtual Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. This is an event of PCA Sim Racing presented by Hagerty. I'm Rachel Whiteford alongside James Pike and Taylor Burris. Our producer for the evening is Ryan Bauer, and Ryan's using cameras created by Dougie Beard. PCA Sim Racing, of course, is sponsored tonight, as always, by Hagerty. Since 1984, Hagerty has been the worldwide leader in collector car insurance. Everything they do is geared towards enabling and enhancing the experience of automotive enthusiasts and making sure that the vehicles we all love and the lifestyles that revolve around them don't just survive, but thrive well into the future. Services include the Hagerty Drivers Club, Drive Share by Hagerty, the shop, and much more to fuel the car culture. Hagerty, let's drive together. Well guys, it's a fantastic day out here at Elkhart Lake, and I am excited to be bringing you Series 6. I'm in the chair tonight leading this thing rather than James Pike, but he is here with us, of course, and it's going to be an interesting ride as we go to Series 6. 5 was so full of energy, James. We had so much come through, so many changes, some drivers coming up. This one is going to be electric.
I think the most interesting thing about this evening as we welcome you into the broadcast, and a hello to everybody watching at home or wherever they may be, is that two things. A, brand new car for the sport and the challenge class as we are roofing around a little bit with the RT12R you see on your screens there as these drivers were through qualifying. So that's fun. And then the top two classes are going back to the 991 GT3 Cup car that will, I guess, formally be a Cup car here proper once we get to June, and the proper GT3R is released under the service. That was announced during the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup finale on Saturday. But we haven't run that car in PCA competition since the end of Series 3 back in November of 2019. And it'll be intriguing to see how the racing compares tonight to what we had then, given that PCA Sim Racing has changed so much since it started in 2019, and we were running, one race or two races even a night. Now it's up to 4 different classes, 4 different races, and over 100 drivers that are going to take to Road America throughout one of the 4 events this evening. So a lot's different. It'll be a fun sort of way to stick a flag in the ground and see how this has evolved.
Certainly will be, of course. Don't forget, folks, as always, we have 4 races tonight. 4 bumper action-packed races, 30 minutes in length. We start with Challenge class, of course, and Sport following that. Challenge starts at 10 past the hour. 8:50 p.m. Eastern will be the Sport Series. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, the Club. And 10:10 will be the Pro Series. Now, the first two, of course, using the roof track, and we have the GT3 Porsche 911 for the top 2 ones in this event tonight. Speaking of the event tonight, James, we're of course at Elkhart Lake, but that is just round 1 of a very packed schedule here. Tonight, of course, Road America, May the 5th, Watkins Glen International, the 12th, Long Beach Street Circuit, that one is going to be electric. We have May 19th, Brands Hatch, the 26th, Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, June 2nd, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, June 9th, Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and the 16th of June to wrap it up at this stage, we should say, Autodromo Nazionale Enzo Dino e Ferrari. This is going to be a brilliant run this time by, of course, and we are going to look at those track facts, of course, for Elkhart Lake. This is a 14-turn, 4.04 mile, or 6.52 kilometer track here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Opened in 1955, and it's going to be a really interesting race course. We've got 30 minutes for each of these things. The weather is variable. We know what it's going to be for the first 2 rounds, but it's not announced, of course, for the club and pro class, James. We know tonight it's going to be about 65 for this race, with clear skies, about 20% humidity. We're looking at very low winds, about 1 mile an hour, and it's going to be about 70, so about 5 degrees hotter for sport. We have no idea what it's going to be for club and pro yet, and neither do they.
That's a little bit of a change as well. A smaller change for this series is that, yes, the weather will be unannounced for the final 2 classes, so drivers will go into that piece of it a little blind. They won't necessarily know what conditions they're working with. Also of note, for those who might not be so proficient in Italian, you all will probably know the Autodromo Nazionale Enzo Dino Ferrari as Imola, which is where we'll close out the season in June. That should be intriguing. It's the first time PCA Sim Racing's ever gone there in an official competition. Same can be said for Brands Hatch, and then the Long Beach Street Circuit on May 12th. You mentioned it, Rachel. That race in particular, I am very much looking forward to, because it'll be the first time we'll see PCA Sim Racing ever compete on a street course. It's going to be completely different, brand new to anything we've ever seen in this series, and should be a very entertaining watch. You'll want to tune in May 12th, no question.
Yes, certainly will, of course. Long Beach will be exciting. That is a street course. There is no runoff. There are no mistakes. That round will be a huge one to watch. Brands Hatch really suits these cars. That will be amazing. So does Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but everything suits that one. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, a personal favorite of mine, and Imola definitely suits GT cars. So this will be a very exciting series coming up for us. Of course, I can't wait. This is going to be a really, really busy season. Series 6 setting up to be the best one yet, and you can watch it all live here, of course, with Podium Esports and the PCA series here. I can't wait. This one tonight, of course, we have 30 minutes to Road America. Where better to start? Road America is a phenomenal track. It is a timeless classic, and it's hosted everything when it comes to motor racing, so it's going to be absolutely awesome. Cannot wait. But before that, James, your predictions. How do we expect the racing to go tonight?
Entertaining, to say the least. This is, I would argue, one of America's best road courses. It's a circuit that, especially as I've spent time on the sim, I've come to appreciate more and more with every race that we end up running here. And PCA Sim Racing is no exception. This is a fantastic circuit for any GT-style racing, and it should be very entertaining. It's tricky at points. There's not necessarily a lot of tarmac to work with, though in most places you do have a decent amount of runoff room, but you're going to see a lot of drivers fighting for the same real estate, especially when you get down towards the bottom of the hill here at Turn 5, which you see on your screens now. This is one of the tightest corners on all the racetrack. That's a tricky spot that's going to cause a few incidents over the course of the evening. Doubtless that we'll see the same in Canada Corner over on the other side of the racetrack as well. So there are places where it will get tight, it will get dicey, but the best of the best tend to rise to the occasion here. This is not a circuit that you can cheat and be successful. You do have to know how to get around here properly in order to have a shot to win any of these races.
You absolutely do, of course. And, well, folks, it is time for the sponsor of the challenge class. Tonight, of course, is always brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. Version 2021.1 of Z1 Dashboard has just been released, and with it comes the new Z1 Designer. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom dashboards for use with the Z1 Dashboard. So in addition to almost 200 standard car dashes, track maps, standings, and specialty displays, you can add your own custom designs, placing the data you want exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of the engineering and strategy for you. Where's your competition? When should you pit? How much fuel do you need? Who's in front or behind you? How's the weather? Are you gaining or losing to the other drivers? Make sure you're maximizing your on-track performance with the Z1 Dashboard. Remember to use the discount code PCA21 when purchasing to get a 15% discount on either the standard or track license. Using Z1 Dashboard to examine your laps is an essential tool to become a faster driver. To find out more, visit www.z1dashboard.com. That's www.z1dashboard.com. And with that, we're going to go to the grid now as we start round number 1 of event number 1 here at Road America. Starting on pole tonight is Glenn Dennis from zone number 2 with Volker Krebs of zone 6 in second. Zone number 10, Stephen Kemp is in third. Fourth place, zone number 6 is Jake Geiger with zone 10's Andrew Hillman in 5th place. J.R. Gregory of zone 6 is in 6th place. That's a nice rhyme to it. 7th place is zone number 1's Anke Bergerson. 8th place, zone 1's Alan Kirby. And 9th place is going to be zone 3's Sam Mosley, with 10th being zones. That one just a bit off my screen. Benjamin Loving.
Albert Ubieta starts in the 11th spot this evening. Scott Rogers will begin from 12th. Jason Sherwood starts tonight from 13th. 14th on the grid is Kim Frick. Craig Smith begins this race in 15th. 16th will be Greg Palmer. Tim Pruitt starts 17th. 18th to Andrew Smiley. Jack Stevenson and Stefan Yuriadka complete your top 20.
21st tonight will be Robert Benson from zone number 1. Zone 4's John Bradley in 22nd. 23rd, zone 1's Jeff Lashway. 24th is zone 6's Stacey Owata. 25th, zone number 10's Bruce Friobi. With 26th place, zone 4's Robert Isle. 27th place, zone 6 is Michael Burgoyne. 27th is going to be, 28th, zones, Craig Sutter, as I stutter through it. 29th, zone 6 is Freddie Lopez. And 30th, zone number 9's Andrew McCune.
Daniel Duga starts in 31st. 32nd is Chris Ramirez. Adam Fox, La Mercy, Jose Rivas, the final cars to take time. 36th, 37th, 38th, and 39th. Chris Pippen, Jim Hemig, Chris Eby, and David Purdy, all not setting times in qualifying, so they will start from the back of the field.
Yeah, they certainly will, of course. We're about to get rolling here at Road America for this first race tonight, starting just after the crest here, heading down towards the hurry down and into, of course, the carousel. There's a long way to go on this kind of long pace, half a lap here for these guys, but time to get in that racing head. Time to get ready, as we are coming to the green already. Okay, sorry, we're actually at this final end. I was completely backwards as we get ourselves ready to go tonight. Field under control of Glenn Dennis as he comes under the NTT bridge. Green flag waves, and he's away tonight racing, as it's a good start by himself in third place to Stephen Kemp. Kemp gets a good run up the inside there on Volker Krebs. Krebs did not get off the line very well at all in second place. Big launch as well by Gregory. He's coming up the inside there of Hillman as they come into turn number 1 tonight, getting ready to go for the action here as it comes through. Cleaner run than we had last time. Oh, as we go behind them, the race might be changed slightly, but everyone gets going again. We had a bit of a slowdown for one car off the track there. We'll come back to that later, but as everyone hurries down, turn number 2 into 3, the field separating out. We didn't have the same troubles we had last time here in Season 5, James.
And most importantly to me, just off the very beginning of this race, look at the gap that Chris Pippen, or rather Glenn Dennis, Volker Krebs, and Stephen Kemp have been able to open up on this field. Everybody sort of stacked up behind Jake Geiger coming down to turn 5, but there's a huge amount of real estate from those front 4 drivers to everybody else. It almost worries me if on the rest of the field I look at the pace that they're sitting just within half a lap and the gap that they've already opened up. Makes me wonder if everybody else is going to be in for a long evening trying to catch Glenn and Volker and company.
It's very much spread out, of course, after that one. The field had to slow down, of course, after Mosley had an incident there in turn 1, which separated the pack out, really, in the very early running. We had some big moves, of course, but those guys who had really big launches didn't actually take advantage of those positions too well, as Krebs maintains second place there. Kemp maintains, third place. Geiger, Hillman, and Gregory all still running relatively in order here after the drop of that green flag, and they are running down now towards Canada Corner, coming towards the end of that first lap here tonight, and it's been a very busy one so far. The separation, though, could be a good thing, James. This could really open things up and allow the racing to really take place here. This car is a lot racier, of course, than the car we had last season. This means there'll be a lot more on-track action.
It's a bit of a different setup this RT12R. It's very intriguing to compare it, especially to the current 991 era cars and the 718 Cayman that we have, because this roof comes from the generation before. So it drives a little bit differently. It's much more like the mid to late 2000s Porsches that we saw, that generation of the 911. And it's certainly not quite the same. You also don't quite have as much downforce with this car, or speed, as you do there. It almost sits sort of in between the GT4 Cayman that we ran in Series 5 and the GT3 Cup car that we'll see a little bit later in terms of just general power and prowess and build. So a bit of a step up. It's certainly not GT4 racing, but it's definitely powerful enough to be a handful for some drivers, and you can't necessarily wheel it in with the mechanical grip that you have in the Cayman GT4, because you've got a lot more power that you're working with, and you do have to mind the throttle and brake more so here than you would with the Cayman.
Absolutely, it's a little bit of a spicier drive, the roof. The track, of course, probably the more manageable one of the roof cars available on iRacing. Of course, we have the Cup, we have the track, we have the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive, of course, on the iRacing service, or representing the roof cars. Now, this one, the track, it was for the longest time what we had in the sim, really, for the 911 GT3, really. In fact, it ran in that place, didn't it, James? As now, of course, Porsche coming to iRacing over the last couple of years, huge participation by them, and what amazing cars they have brought to the sim and still going to be bringing. Like we said, we know there's more coming soon. It's incredibly exciting for such a historic brand to really represent itself on the best competitive racing sim on the planet, without doubt. iRacing really brings it to the table when it comes to competing against other people in this online setting, and Porsche, well, they lead the way in that regard. As we come to the end of lap number 2, Glenn Dennis leading the way by a good margin here, 1.3 seconds over Volker Krebs in second place. The Potomac Region Zone number 2 driver is really putting on a good show tonight. Got behind him as we're coming past some cars just coming out of pit road. A little bit of traffic there for Dennis. Krebs is coming behind him. He's at 1.9 seconds back. Stephen Kemp in third place. 3.6 back from your leader. JR Gregory is up 2 positions in fourth place there. Top 3 unchanged. Jake Geiger is down 1 spot in 5th. Hillman is going to be, again, down 1 spot, 6th place. Kirby up 1 in 7th, with Bergeson down 1 in 8th. Loving up 1 and up 3. Jason Sherwood, who could be a player tonight.
Could indeed, and I like the fact that you make the point about Porsche really embracing sim racing and embracing iRacing. I want to wheel back to that because it's so hard to believe that, you know, you go back to the late 2000s and you tell somebody that Porsche would be this invested in sim racing at this level. I think they give you a four-eyed look, because you remember 10 years ago when the roof was originally brought to iRacing. It was brought to iRacing because Porsche had an exclusivity deal with another studio, which meant that nobody else outside of that studio could put proper Porsches in their games and in their programs. So when that exclusivity deal sunset, it allowed Porsche to explore avenues that they hadn't had the chance to be a part of in the sim racing world. And iRacing was one of the ones that they came to, and I think over time they saw the power of iRacing and saw what it could be, and now here we are, and we have a full-fledged road championship, which is arguably one of the most prominent road championships in all of sim racing, much less iRacing, where it is very clearly the top dog in the road pyramid. So really cool to see them evolve, and really awesome to see them embrace it the way they have. As you know, we've already got the Cup car, we've got the GT, we've got the GT4, the GT3 is coming in June, so we're missing, what, the GT2 and then the 992 Cup car, and it wasn't confirmed that we were going to get the 992 Cup car in the end of that Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup broadcast on Saturday, but it was very heavily hinted. So I would suspect in the not too distant future, we'll probably see that car too, and who knows? I have a hunch that we may end up seeing that car in PCA Sim Racing competition. AG certainly making it easy for the folks at PCA to pick out whatever form of Porsche they want to race. You're certainly not hurting for options as you see this great battle on your screen.
Absolutely, of course, as Yeah, it was actually a very historic situation. And do you know much of the history of what actually happened with that deal, James?
You probably know more pieces than I do, so I'll listen to a good story. You know me.
Okay, about 20 years ago, actually, 1996 it was, some guys from a company called EA came to Porsche, and they didn't know, no one really knew much about racing games at the time. It was a relatively new market, and they offered them an exclusive contract because EA turned up with a big bag of money, and for 20 years, you could only ever see a real Porsche in EA games. So it was always roofs, the race cars made with Porsche factory parts, of course, the German company Roof. You always saw them because they were able to. They were able to be used, not as they weren't exclusively part of that contract. So you always had every game other than an EA game you saw a Porsche in. It was actually a Roof. But of course, since 2016, that came off the table. And Porsche, of course, like you say, they saw the merit of iRacing and other services like that, but especially iRacing in terms of how it could really showcase the quality of their cars to a really discerning audience, and the right audience, of course, I'd like to say, because of all sim racing, I like to think this is probably the biggest and most professional market of it, and you really do see the appreciation for these cars here, and of course you see so many real drivers of Porsches and other cars coming here because of the quality and the attention iRacing gives to its vehicles and to its tracks. So you get a very authentic experience, which is exactly what Porsche really want. So you have that wonderful marriage of amazing car manufacturer and amazing service.
I would say you're dead on with that. If you want an idea of just how realistic these cars are, I mean, we saw it on the onboard cameras that these cars all had the plug in your phone aux screen there on the digital dash just underneath the air conditioning. So it makes me wonder what some of these drivers would put in their playlists during PCA races. But I suppose we'll let that be a fun survey question for later on this season, because I certainly would be curious to hear what the musical choices of this group would be, varied as it is. I have to believe we'll get some obvious answers, but we'll probably get a few good left field answers that might be artists we need to go discover.
I think we might, but I do hope there's not one particular 70s disco track about, things being on fire. That's what we want to avoid in the collection for tonight.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't disagree with you. I was thinking, if we're going to absolutely just go with the trope to some degree, how about needing is 99 Luftballons?
Absolutely, that's a great one. Are we talking the German or the English version?
Yes. I'll go with both.
Luftballon?
Yeah. 99 Luftballon. Yeah. I can do it a little
That
bit.
German is tragic. Although I only speak a little myself, but probably the best phrase I can say is I don't speak a lot of German. Can you help me? It's one of the most useful phrases you could possibly know as a native English speaker. But moving on from that, as things progress through the field here tonight, got some movers. Greg Palmer is up from 16th to 9th right now. He's moving his way through the field. And Stefan Iradaka, 20th up to 13th, along with Jack Stevenson, 19th to 14th. And Robert Benson is 21st to 15th right now. Some big movers there. Robert Isle also 26th to 16th, so 10 places for him. Got some big movement amongst these guys as the race progressing really well right now. We're on lap number 6. We've not had a lot of on-track passing action as the field became very spread out after that first corner. Hubbub is what I'd like to use as a phrase here, James, as no one really went off other than one car, but everyone panicked and had a very gentlemanly stand on the brakes.
It was a little bit cleaner than we've seen in some other events here with PCA Sim Racing at Road America. I'll grant you that as we keep our eyes peeled for some of the best battles on track. A good one here for 21st. This is Tim Frick that we're riding on board with. He's from the Niagara region of the PCA, which is basically the greater Buffalo, New York area, where a certain hand egg sport does finally matter again, because their certain team is pretty spiffy, to say the least, and had a good year in 2020, but all sorts of good racing here. David Purdy is in the mix. Albert Vieta is just up here as well. John Bradley is trying to chase this group down, but a fun quartet to try and challenge for the 20th spot here. And then you've got Andrew McCune just behind this group. He's a lap down in 30th.
Yeah, he absolutely is, of course. And the racing tonight has been very, very sporting. As we have a problem just ahead of the leader there. We saw a car spinning just ahead there of Glenn Dennis. That's a terrifying moment for him. As coming up out of Canada corner, hopefully get a replay of that one. That was Bruce Riobi there in 26th place. As that's the worst place to see something happen. Coming out of Canada, you're on that one track outline. You've possibly got an option, and the car spins across the track, bounces off the tyre barrier, and starts coming back at you. It is very much a hoping you're wearing the brown racing suit sort of moment.
Yeah, that's a tricky corner just because you've got all that curb on the outside, and you try and take advantage of it as best you can to maximize your run heading up into the final portion of the racetrack. But if you get on the sand in any way, shape, or form, you are almost certainly going around, especially with these Porsches that have so much power and torque in the rear wheels. It's a huge difference in the traction levels between the sand and the tarmac, and that's exactly what happened to Fraby. He got on the sand, went around. Unfortunate for him, he's got some damage to the rather left front of his car as well, but he'll carry on and currently has scored one lap down in 27th. Yeah, it was definitely a heart and throat moment, I think, for Glenn Dennis, but he won't complain because he's still out in front by almost 6 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely is, of course. And right now, we're definitely seeing that separation coming through that we were expecting to happen, of course. But I think we're coming up on that midway point in our race right now, James. So it would be time, of course, as we cross that halfway point of tonight's race, it's time to bring you the iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing. iRacing's world premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing. All from your home, race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, World of Outlaws, and more. It's going to be an exciting one, of course, for them. We're going to go through our... You know what? It would be a wonderful thing on my first race leading this thing if I got the right read in.
I mean, to be fair, it is iRacing, so, you're not wrong.
Yes. I do have to say, though, tonight's Midway Race Break is brought to you by Z1 Dashboard, of course, and we are going to read their read rather than what he included in my document. Ryan. Yeah. Of course, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. Don't forget, version 2021.1 of the Z1 Dashboard has just been released, and with it comes the new Z1 Designer. The Z1 Designer lets you create your own custom dashboards for use with the Z1 Dashboard. So in addition to almost 200 standard car dashes, track maps, standings, and specialty displays, you can add your own custom designs, placing the data you want exactly where you want it. Remember, the Z1 Dashboard also takes care of engineering, strategy, where your competition is, when you should pit, how much fuel you need, and who is in front of or behind you. How's the weather? Are you gaining or losing time to other drivers? Make sure you're maximizing your on-track performance with the Z1 Dashboard. Remember to use the discount code PCA21 when purchasing to get a 15% discount on either the standard or track license. Using the Z1 Dashboard to examine your laps is an essential tool to becoming a faster driver. To find out more, visit www.z1dashboard.com. As we go, it's Glenn Dennis leading the way in tonight's race. That 20 car from the Potomac region of zone number 2 has had a phenomenal run tonight. His gap is about 7 seconds. It is huge for him tonight. An absolutely massive run. Second place is Stephen Kemp, the 137 car from Nordstern region, zone number 10. Kemp, of course, gained a spot in tonight's race from third on the grid. He's now second there. And that gorgeous, gorgeous car he's driving. Beautiful livery. Love the burnt orange and red. J.R. Gregory in third place, the 218 from the Oregon region of zone number 6. Gregory is in a gorgeous machine as well, loving that car. He's been gaining some track position, I should say, on Kemp, closing in. P number 4 is Jake Geiger, the 968 from the Pacific Northwest region of zone number 6, just north, of course, of Kemp. He's coming down the back straight here towards Canada after a good run for him so far, up 3 spots. He's definitely making some traction. P4 is Jake Geiger, the 05. This one's running around in circles here. Volker Krebs, P5, the 53 car, Canada West region of zone number 6. making good time himself on the track here. He's had a very up and down race tonight, lost 3 spots so far, unfortunately for him. Andrew Hillman in the 14 car from the Schönland region of zone number 10. Doing a great job tonight, making his way forwards here, trying to hold some position, which will of course help him later in the series. Do what he can on the track. Behind him, Anke Bergerson, 248 machine from the northeast region of zone number 1, one of the biggest zones we have, of course, in the PCA. Lots of drivers in zone number 1, it covers a huge area. But Bergerson's been definitely pushing. He's held his spot so far on the track tonight, started 7th, running in 7th. P8 tonight is 37 of Greg Palmer. The Milwaukee region, zone number 13 driver, has been really pushing this thing up half the positions he started with. Started 16th, running 8th right now. Jason Sherwood is in 9th place tonight. The Diablo region of zone number 7, the 13 machine. Oh, good job he's from the Diablo region. Is making his way up 4 spots from 13th to 9th, putting on a good show. 10th place is Craig Smith, the 74 car from the Mid-Ohio region, so we go to one of his home tracks this season of zone number 4. He's up 5 spots, definitely climbing the order here tonight.
11th at the moment is Benjamin Loving in the 407 car, that red machine that you see, just trying to chase down Craig Smith, making his way off towards the very tight left-hander at turn number 5. 12th in this field out of the Rensport region in Quebec is Robert Benson. Showing one little bit of damage to the left side of his machine, but a solid run in the top 24. Robert, 13th in this race. Out of the Peach State region, we know how strong that region has been in PCA Sim Racing before. That's Tim Pruitt, who holds the 13th position in this race, and 14th as it stands belongs to Stefan Yurianka out of the Upper Canada region, which covers the Greater Toronto area and most of the province of Ontario. We have plenty of drivers from that area as well, one of the longest represented regions in PCA Sim Racing. 15th, right behind Stefan, is Alan Kirby out of the North Country region, the state of New Hampshire, the Granite State, although he may end up dropping back a little bit further because he was there in 15th and now will slide a little bit further back. So let's take a look at our new 15th place driver. That's Jeff Lashway out of the Hudson Champlain region, same as James Hoot, the gentleman of PCA Sim Racing. So got some good region mates to work with if you're Jeff, and currently holding the 15th position as it stands. 16th out of the Ohio Valley region of the PCA, right along the banks of the Ohio River. It's Robert Isle out of Zone 4, doing a nice job to keep just ahead of P17, which is the National Marketing Director for the Porsche Club of America and a member of the Chesapeake region, which covers Baltimore, Annapolis, and the Maryland Eastern Shore. That's Jim Hemming in 17th out of zone number 2 in car 986. Bet you couldn't guess what Porsche is his favorite, huh? David Purdy runs in the 18th position, again a Peach Stater, representing the Atlanta metro area. You get a good shot of his roof RT12R track machine as it climbs the hill ahead towards the start-finish line. 19th is where Alan Kirby ended up settling at the end of all this North Country region, and he's going to come down pit road, actually, which means the 20th, and soon to be 19th, will be another Ohio Valley region driver, and a driver out of Zone 4. Car number 25, the black machine, belongs to John Bradley.
Certainly does tonight, of course. 21st tonight is going to be Scott Rogers in the 737, the Rocky Mountain region driver of zone number 9. Scott Rogers is unfortunately down about 9 positions tonight after some earlier incidents. It's been a busy race on track for some of these guys. His last car on the lead lap. As we move now to 23rd, Jack Stevenson is currently car number 3, Chicago region driver, zone number 13. Stevenson is down 4 spots from where he started. 1 lap down, not a great race for him. It's been busy towards the rear of this field. 24th place tonight, Adam Fox, the 577 driver, Metropolitan New York region of zone number 1. He is up about 11 positions in today's race, so he's been moving forwards as this one goes. Unfortunately, a lap down as well. Chris Pippin, the 25th place driver, the 26th car of the Kansas City region from zone number 10. He is up 11 spots from where he started the race, almost last. Michael Burgoyne, the 26th place driver, the 21 car, zone number 6's Oregon region. We have another one of those in the field tonight. He's up a spot in today's race. And Andrew McCune in 27th is going to be one of our last drivers running at the moment, the 55 car from the Rocky Mountain region of zone number 9. Running, I think, one of the last machines we actually have on the track, although I think we have a couple more. '29th, Daniel Douglas is running. He's making up some time after some repairs. 12 car is trying to do what he can here to make up here. He's hoping to gain some places on drivers who have recently retired. And I believe that will be all of the cars we have still running on track tonight from the challenge class here today. And that concludes tonight's challenge class midway race break, brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. Back to the racing on track. It is not a very different story for Glenn Dennis. He is 8.3 seconds clear of Stephen Kemp out front. He has opened that gap significantly and is the runaway favourite tonight. Kemp is still putting on a good show. Gregory, however, has dropped back, James.
He has. I'm watching two battles a little bit further back, though. We've got two really good ones between Jason Sherwood and Edgar Bergsong, and then you've also got Robert Isle and David Purdy right on top of one another going through turn 5. Here's Bergsong's point of view. We're right on board with him as he makes his way towards Canada Quarter. But these represent the two best battles on the racetrack at this time, so we'll keep an eye on both of them and see. Well, I take that back. We're down to one really good battle because David Purdy just managed to lose it over, I believe, on the exit of turn 6, and that broke up a battle that was within only a few tenths over those two cars, which just hurts a little bit to see as we see a lot of drivers here having trouble navigating this tricky Road America circuit. Not necessarily complex, but certainly one that can trip you up if you do not give the circuit perspective. We'll go back to Bergsong and see if he can run down Jason Sherwood for 7.
Yeah, we certainly will, of course, and it's been a busy one for those guys. Going to see if we can pull that time in. There is just under a second between those two cars, so it's definitely closing in. The Diablo region driver really doing what he can here to hold off Anker Bergeson. He's been pushing hard, but Sherwood's been the faster driver, I think, tonight, James. He's up 4 compared to being down 1 for Bergson. Bergson is definitely a known name in the series. He's had really good runs in the past. The switch to this car, though, may have been... I think it may be challenging a lot of these drivers. They're so used to other vehicles that this might be a bit of a culture shock. Palmer's just gone off Greg Palmer, so that's definitely changing the story of tonight's race. As... I believe it might have been in... wasn't really off, but he lost a lot of speed, I think, in turn 5. He comes to turn in, and he wobbled and lost the front end. We're going to replay there. It's the most mild moment I've ever seen, James. He comes in, breaks, the back end steps on him, and has to step on that brake there and control the car, but he saves it.
That's a good way to recognize if you're having an issue like that. Very smart of him to get on the brake and make sure he didn't loop it around so that he didn't lose any more time. But in a sense, I'm not surprised that Greg Palmer is having a good day at Road America because he is from the Milwaukee region, which is only about maybe an hour, hour and a half down the road from Road America itself. This is his home racetrack so far as PCA Sim Racing is concerned, and he's using a little bit of, I would suspect to be a healthy heaping of real-world knowledge about this place to get around here quickly in the sim, and it's shown here tonight. He's been one of the best drivers, one of the hardest chargers through the field. He's gained just about more spots than anybody else in this field, save for, I believe, Robert Benson, who rides in 10th currently after starting 21st, and Jeff Lashway, who is 13th.
Yeah, certainly are, of course, and, well, it's been busy tonight, and we have had a lot of attrition in this series. You can tell from the plumes coming off pit road there. This track has definitely been tough to handle, and I look forward to seeing what we have in the rest of the series, of course, but Road America is not a simple track. It looks simple on paper, it's long, it's fast, but it is not easy. There are a lot of tricky corners here, and this car is actually a beast to handle compared to some of the newer cars with other features. The roof is a tricky beast to tame. These guys are doing a fantastic job of it, and Glenn Dennis, of course, especially, is flying. I'm really impressed with his drive tonight, James. It's been flawless. The Potomac region driver, of course, the 20 car from zone number 2 has been really putting this on tonight. It's been almost a flawless drive.
he's been untouchable. He was a full second faster just about than anybody else in the field, save for second place Stephen Kim that last time by. He's got pace in spades, and maybe more importantly, he's managed to miss all the incidents that have seemingly happened pretty close to his number 20 machine. It's not like he's been without a few scary moments out his windshield, but that car is as clean as it was when it took the green flag, and now he's here maybe about 2 laps away from collecting his first victory in Series 6 and starting off the sport class in Series 6 on the right note.
Absolutely is, and we'll have to see exactly how that one goes, but I'm looking forward to the rest of the races tonight. If this is anything like we've seen today in Challenge class, it's going to be a very busy night, and these drivers are definitely showing us what they've got to go for here as we come through this today, so looking forward to that. But we still have a race in our hands here with 2 minutes left on the clock. We should see, I think, one more lap really. 2:07 as he's crossed the line. Glenn Dennis is definitely going to see another lap after this one, a penultimate lap.
He's all clear. Just keeping an eye on some of the other battles. Sherwood and Bergsong still your tightest, though John Bradley and Scott Rogers have developed a good battle for 16th and 17th. So maybe another one. And then, of course, the commentator's curse works brilliantly, and no sooner have I said that than John Bradley's driven off of turn 6, and Scott Rogers has managed to clear him. So I guess my job here is just to kill pretty much any good battle that doesn't involve Sherwood and Bergsong today.
Well, let's not have you mention those two again during the rest of this race in case something happens to those guys. They might not forgive you. Bergsong's car, though, not looking in fantastic shape. He's had a bit of an off himself. The right front quarter panel is not looking too healthy on that car, so it's got to be hurting his top-end speed.
Could be, but he still managed to put together a really solid race even with that damage, which I think is the most impressive part of it. Yes, the nose is a little bit dinged up, but Bergsong's been able to keep his car moving and not really worry about too much as we keep our eyes on Glenn Dennis, who should come to get the white flag when he comes across the start-finish line this time by.
Yeah, he certainly should as he comes up through the final corners here at Road America. This should be his white flag lap as he comes around the final bend here, lapping up to 17th place here. He's coming up on, actually that's going to be Scott Rogers just ahead of him here, coming under the NTT bridge there. Glenn Dennis coming up on that car will put 17th the lap down. This has been a phenomenal drive by him. His last lap was a 2:06, which has been incredibly fast. Scott Rogers, for example, put in a 2:09, so 3 seconds a lap slower. In fact, it was a whole just under a second, about 0.8 slower for Kemp in second place. He's dropped to now 11.2 seconds behind your race leader. So white flag is out for Glenn Dennis. This is the last time around for him, and it's going to be a very, very clean race for the 20 driver. Just flawless. He's gone from pole to top step of the podium. If he doesn't make a mistake. Let's hope we don't curse him yet in this one as he comes through turn 5 there, coming up behind Scott Rogers there. To put him a lap down as they come under the Corvette bridge there. Around turn 6, up towards the hurry downs. Will Rogers clear the way? Rogers isn't competing against anybody else here. James Hemmick is too far away, really, for it to be a competition. He's just coming down towards Canada. Dennis now coming through. 8 towards the Road America Bridge and down into the carousel. This corner really lies to you. This drops about 2 to 3 stories, James, as he comes down here onto the really meaty, wavy back straight.
Very tricky to get through the kettle bottoms and the hurry downs the right way. This corner that he just passed through, one of those ones where you have to find the edge very quickly and go full tilt before you start weaving your way through the trees and lining up your entry to Canada Corner here. And I figure Glenn Dennis will just ride behind the lap machine and try and see this out for victory number 1 of Series 6.
Certainly will, and it's been a great run as Glenn Dennis now comes up towards the end of the final lap here at Road America for the challenge class, and it's going to be a flag to flag victory for Glenn Dennis as he comes out the final corner. No problems there. Didn't bother passing Scott Rogers there, so they'll come under the bridge, and this will be it as he uses that draft to suck up. And oh, a little bit of a controversial end there as they had a little bit of a moment coming across the line. Stephen Kemp will bring it home in second place there as just not ideal timing, James.
That might have been the scariest moment of all, right at the end of this race for Glenn Dennis, but a great work for him to get the job done, get the victory in Series 1. You're on board with Benjamin Loving, who is chasing down Robert Benson to try and get the 9th spot. And we shall see whether or not there's anything to be made of this. Also of note here, Tim Pruitt hanging out in front of Stefano Yoyanko. This is about 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th that we're seeing finish off these first races of the evening.
Certainly is, of course, and we'll run down your grid now as drivers come towards the end of this one here. Glenn Dennis, of course, taking the victory here at Road America for the Challenge class. Stephen Kemp coming home in 2nd place with J.R. Gregory in 3rd. Walker Krebs in 4th with Andrew Hillman in 5th place. Jason Sherwood 6th. Greg Palmer in 7th. 8th, Ankerberger Son. Robert Benson in 9th with Benjamin Loving in 10th place as he crosses the line there. Behind that, coming a little bit later actually in this lap as they come to finish here, it's going to be Tim Pruitt, Stefan Iridaka, Jeff Lashway, James Hemmick, Robert Isle, Scott Rogers, John Bradley, Jake Geiger, Andrew Smiley, Jake Stevenson, David Purdy, Adam Fox, Chris Pippin, Michael Burgoyne, Andrew McCune, Daniel Douglas, Craig Smith, Alan Kirby, Bruce Fiobi, Kim Frick, Albert Ubieta, Craig Sutter, Stacey Iwata, Jose Rivas, Ola Murphy, Freddie Lopez, Chris Ramirez, Chris Elby, and Sam Mosley. Well, this concludes tonight's first challenge round of the season here for Season 6. And we will, of course, have brought to you by Z1 Dashboard. We're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will see you for the sport class.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Good evening, race fans. Of course, welcome to Podium's coverage of the sport class tonight. I'm Richard Wyford, joined by James Pike and Taylor Burris, as always, with Ryan Bauer, our producer. Of course, we are still here at Road America, and we're here for the sport class tonight, and we're going to be coming through with this one. Of course, sport class brought to you by Pirelli. Pirelli was founded in Milan in 1872 and is a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is amongst the world's major producers of tyres and is an OEM supplier for Porsche. Find out more about Pirelli at www.pirelli.com. And with that, we are diving straight to your grid. Pole tonight is going to be Ogren Gerlap from zone number 4, with second place being Ken Tubman of zone 5, third Will Waldron of zone number 1, with fourth his zone mate Carl Baccieri, and another zone 1 driver in fifth, Dean Clapman, with zone number 5's Jason Brodigan in 6th place. 7th is zone number 3's Donald Binkley, with 8th being zone 1's David D. Palmer, 9th zone 1's Paul Salk, and 10th is John Martin.
11th on the grid, Montez Martini, Ben Leung, Thomas Doty, Thomas Lamine, Sebastiano Barastrieri. Your top 15, then Nick Paglia, Keith Morgan, John Quick. You'll see the rest of the drivers come across your screen.
Setting on the course and getting ourselves moving here for the field tonight, as we'll get a chance to talk to the challenge class podium after we get started here up to the start finish line, and it's going to be a good start here for your drivers tonight. Ogren Gerlap leading the field away as they cross the line for the first lap of the sport class here tonight in the rough car again. Coming into turn 1, this was our trouble spot last time by. Big grouping as they come into that corner here this time by. Everyone keeping themselves well separated. Huge knot of cars all piling through there, and I don't see any real issues we've had so far in the race. It's a huge field. 48 cars started on the grid, and it is a massive bunch of cars. Problems in turn number 3 for a couple of drivers. We'll come back to that in just a second with James Pike as leaders already reaching turn number 5. James?
Everybody in there 2 by 2 by 2, it seems, as they look towards turn 5 to make the move for the first time. One car around. It's David Palmer that's gone sideways on the exit of turn 5. Everybody else finding some sort of space to get through here. But again, turn 5 is just really tricky to get through, especially on that opening lap.
Absolutely is. A really tricky corner there, and a bit more excitement than perhaps we expected in the first lap, especially compared to last time by, where everyone was going to be cautious. Taylor, this is a tricky track, and with this many cars, it's bound to get very congested very fast.
It certainly is, and with 48 cars here on the circuit here tonight, it's going to provide a lot of interesting factors to keep in mind. Right now, your top 10 is currently running in single file formation as they come to the kink, heading down towards Canada Corner, but everyone in towards the back half, around 13th on back, they are piled in together. It's a lot of action. Drivers going to have to show patience here early on in these first 33 minutes.
Absolutely are, of course. Gerlap, Tubman, Waldron, and Baccieri all running in order here at the front. With Chapman, Blinkley, Palmer, after his moment, has dropped back considerably here, of course. Salk has moved ahead of him. It's been a very busy time here, and with this, I think the volume of cars actually in this round alone, James, has really contributed to that one being a very congested start, but considering the mass number of cars here, that was surprisingly clean. It could have been much worse.
48 drivers in this field. That's almost the sizes that we were working with, though, in series number 3 when we were racing across classes. A huge amount the drivers in this field trying to sort themselves out. And as it stands, it's Geralp, Tubman, and Waldron that have this great battle for first, second, and third. And we could go just about anywhere. We'll wait and see how these pan out and how they develop over the next 5 minutes or so. But you can go just about anywhere on this racetrack right now, and you're going to find a good battle. That's how tight the field is, at least when you look at the individual battles.
Certainly is, and I don't know why, but the number 5 driver of Will Waldron, I want to say Will Weldon, or Will Wheaton, sorry, is the one I want to say. I want to say Will Wheaton, not Will Waldron. It's trying to slip out of my tongue, and I can't help myself. I want to say that, and then something about shut up Wesley, but we'll avoid that. Waldron in third, Tubman in second, Gerlap in first right now, and these guys are right under a blanket at the moment, Taylor. This is probably the closest lead I've seen for a while, and they're all still in the draft window for each other, which means this could stay this close the entire race.
It certainly can, Rachel. These drivers now working through the carousel as we are on board, or seeing Ken Tubman in that second position, trying to keep pace with your race leader, Orkan Gerlap, as they now head towards that little bit of a kink right there. You can carry the car through as much speed as you can flat out. You have to be careful though not to go a little too far wide, otherwise you'll end up into one of the barriers. But a great battle amongst your top 3 as they enter into the braking zone over at Canada Corner right now. But this is just a 3-horse race so far, as your top 3 has pulled out by about 1.8 seconds over Carlo Bocchetti.
Yeah, they really have. Bocchetti has fallen back a little bit here, but if these top 3 start fighting, that'll bring him right in absolutely no time whatsoever. And behind him, Chapman is not far behind, as neither is LeMay. A bit of a gap to John Martin and Florian Doherty and Binkley. Those guys are pretty close together, along with Ben Lung, Krimmel, and Palmer. The rest of the field is actually pretty packed together here. We've got a long train of cars. There's more cars compiling out of pit road right amongst your leaders. That's going to get messy. It's not the place you want those guys to be, but Ken Tubman here for second is really on the rear diffuser here of Gerlap. As a car slides across the track in front of them. That's a heart-stopping moment. It lost speed though for Gerlap. We have a challenge for the race lead here as Ken Tubman looking to get the inside line as they come down towards turn 5. He's going to have the overlap. Gerlap can't tighten it down and lock that door. Coming through, Ken Tubman, we have a pass for the race lead on the outside as well. Waldron looking for an opportunity. That was very, very spicy from him. I wasn't expecting him to go for that quite so dramatically, but hey, when in Rome, eat a pizza or go to the Colosseum or something. Yeah, good idea. Gerlap drops down to second place as Ken Tubman now leading the way in tonight's race. A change for your lead. Second place, Ken Tubman, that 27 driver, is now pushing his way forwards. Waldron in the mix here, and again, we said battling would change this. This could bring Bocchieri and Chapman in. Pike?
It potentially is. I think we need to chat with a few folks who managed to have some success over the course of the last race, that challenge class race presented by Z1 Dashboard. So let's bring England in us and talk to him and see how he did, Rachel, and get a feel for how he's so fast around.
We certainly are, yes. Welcome, Glenn Dennis. Flag-to-flag victory for you there tonight. A very clean and slightly boring race. You just drove your roof incredibly fast. How was it for you?
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. This was a very fun race. Very clean. Everybody did a great job. And just, was setup was right and stayed nice and smooth and just had a good day.
You absolutely certainly did. As quick note there, Carl Bocchieri is off the track there as they run down towards the start-finish line. But Glenn, it's a different car to what you've been driving the last couple of seasons. Just how hard was the transition to the roof?
So I did only one race in Series 5 in the RSR. Love the RSR. I feel like the rough is a little bit different. It's a little bit closer to a street car. It took a little time to adjust, but found a setup that worked really well for my style here, and really enjoyed it. I actually really liked the rough track car.
Fantastic. Anybody like to give a shout out to or thanks for the victory tonight?
Thank you.
Well, short and sweet. Thank you very much for joining us, Glenn Dennis. Fantastic run today, and looking forward to see what you can bring next week. And coming up second place is going to be with James Pike. That's Stephen Kemp.
Stephen Kemp, a driver who's been around and had success in a lot of places in PCA Sim Racing, and starts off Series 6 with a solid finish here at Road America. Just take us through your day. It seemed relatively uneventful at the front of the field.
Well, it's pretty stressful. Road America, I love the course, but you got to really focus. Not too much excitement. Glenn was way out in front. Really didn't think I could get to him. Just a few lap traffic, but yeah, pretty uneventful race at Road America.
We saw a lot of spins just off course in that race, more so than I can remember in a lot of other PCA Sim Racing events. So is there something different about this Roof RT12R, the track machine, that maybe doesn't quite race the same as some of the Porsches that we've run in prior PCA Sim Racing events? And was it something that maybe threw some of these drivers a curveball? Do you see where they might have lost traction and why we might have seen so many cars spin tonight?
Oh, well, yeah, sure. Yeah, a lot of the guys were driving the GT4, so they're driving the mid-engine, or the RSR, which has huge amount of aero. But this rough, it's a 911 all the way through, so you get that engine in the back, and you get the weight coming around, and it behaves just like a 997. So I think it's a learning curve for a lot of guys, getting used to it, being able to slide the back in and then catch it with traction. So yeah, I'm sure guys are coming up to speed there with the car. Drives quite a bit different than the RSR and the GT4.
Might be a little bit easier when we head to Watkins Glen next Wednesday night. Looking forward to getting to New York's Thunder Road.
Oh yeah, I hadn't driven Watkins Glen before that zone challenge, and I just love that course. I really got to enjoy it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
Stephen, congratulations on your podium finish. Thanks for the time, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday night.
Hey, I want to make sure I thank a few people. I never got a chance last time to thank the guys at Matrix Motorsports. They spent a lot of time with me and helped me as a new driver. Klaus Nielsen was spotting for me. Ken Tubman's coming up next. But anyway, those guys have been great. Team racing with them and then helping me learn the ropes and get good at this. So I really appreciate that, my team at Matrix Motorsports.
Stephen Kemp, runner-up in the challenge class race, Rachel, and should be a threat for the class title all season long if he keeps it up at this rate.
Should certainly be, James, of course, as I don't think we have third place for the challenge class, but we do have a lot of action still on the racetrack, of course. We did see Carlo Bottieri have that spin earlier on whilst we were doing the interviews, and that has changed things significantly. But more importantly, Thomas LeMay has caught up during the fighting here, and he's passed Will Waldron for the third place. Now, they have a bit of a gap here, Taylor, to the guys in first and second, who are really spreading out here. Ken Tubman has legged it.
Yeah, Ken Tubman has pulled out by about 1.4 seconds over Gerlach, but the main battle that we're watching right now between Thomas LeMay and Will Waldron has picked up between where it's a 9-second gap between LeMay and the rest of the top two right now. But this is a good battle to watch as they come down the front straightaway here. You'll notice that Waldron's going to try to get into that slipstream before they enter turn one to try to close the gap between him and Thomas LeMay as they dive it down into turn one. LeMay has a great line coming off corner exit of turn one and turn two. But here comes Will Waldron. Will he stick his nose as they come through turn three? The answer is going to be not quite yet. That number 5 Ruff is definitely going to put on a good show here as they come out of turn three.
Certainly are, and we have a lot of drivers to cover tonight. A lot of drivers. So we're going to go to your midway race break. As we cross the halfway point of tonight's sports class race, it is time to bring you the midway race break, brought to you by Pirelli. Pirelli is the 2021 PCA Sim Racing Sport Class sponsor, and they were founded in Milan in 1872. It's a global brand known for its cutting-edge technology, high-end production excellence, and passion for innovation that draws heavily on its Italian roots. Pirelli is among the world's major producers of tyres and is an OEM supplier to Porsche. Find more about Pirelli at www.pirelli.com. Well, with that, it is time to go through a chonker of a list of drivers, and we start with apparently third place. That's interesting. Ken Tubman is in first place tonight, car 27, Lone Star Region Texas driver, zone number 5. He is putting on a great show tonight, having passed Ogren Gerlach, and it's a Burlap for second place, making his way to the lead right now. Second place is Ogren Gerlach. He is not a tarpaulin. and he is in second place at the moment, running there, the Rally Sport region, zone number 4, 26 car. Gorgeous design on that machine. Look at that. Beautiful fractured paint scheme. Love it. P number 3, a bit of a dark horse out of nowhere. Thomas LeMay has dived up from 14th place. Where's this come from? Or unless the scoring is reading wrong, Will Waldron actually apparently is in 3rd place right now. Car number 5, the Hudson Champlain region, zone number 1. I think I'm definitely getting something misreading here on my screen for that one. But Waldron there in 3rd for us here. P4 is actually Thomas LeMay. So there was a bit of shaking there. Oh, we had a car go off just ahead of him. That was a bit of a spicy one. Car 701, the Northeast region driver was in number 1, is absolutely flying tonight. Timing scoring is actually updated properly here. He's up 10 places, 14th to 4th. That is huge. Probably 5 machine of John Martin there is running fantastically well tonight. John Martin up 5 spots himself from 10th on the grid to now run in that 5th spot on the racetrack. Curtis Crummell in the 41 machine, the Carolinas region driver of zone number 3, is putting on a great show as well. 22nd to 6th. This guy is flying. Absolutely massive run from Crummell tonight. Dean Chapman and the 604 machine, the Northern New Jersey region of zone number 1, almost right to the top there, is doing a great job tonight as well. He's down 2 spots though, unfortunately, in his race, but he is hanging in there strong. Behind him, 8th place, Carlo Boccieri is in 8th after his spin a few moments ago, trying to recoup what he lost. The 80 machine, Metropolitan New York region from zone number 1. Behind him, David Snelling is up from 33rd to 9th. The 29 car, the Northeast region of zone number 1, is running this lovely podium decals like everybody else, of course, on that gorgeous Art Deco design. Loving seeing that car out here tonight. And P10 is Peter Yuxa from the Down East region of zone number 1. The 54 car is doing a great job on track. 42nd to 10th. 32 places, our biggest mover of the night. Okay, Mongolia actually, or not. I'm confused. On to you, James.
A lot of calamity and a lot of drivers coming down to pit road, I think, is the answer to that question. So let's slide to where P11 is. That's Jason Baum, who rides along in the 11th position. He's about 3 seconds back at 10th place. Peter Yerkes. Bob Moore, currently running in the 772 scene out of the Northeast region, the Greater Boston area, is 12th at this time. Just behind him, the resident Dutchman of PCA Sim Racing, Annie Klaassen out of the San Diego region in Zone 8. Just behind Bob there. Stuart Nelson is that 3rd car that you see, rather just a little bit further back of these drivers from the Chicago region in Zone 13. He sits in the 14th spot, working his way around the final corner, trying to chase down both Arnie and Benoit. Thomas Tony out of the Central Indiana region, which covers the Indianapolis metro area, rides in the 15th spot. A little dinged up car number 42, but he's got time on his side to make it back up. Ben Turner in the 16th position, and he is holding steady with about a 4.5 second margin over the driver that rides in the 17th spot. And 17th in this field belongs to Keith Morgan, who also hails from the Central Indiana region. So Turner finds himself in a Central Indiana sandwich in 16th, as he's got Central Indiana drivers in 15th and 17th. Tom Crane out of the Mardi Gras region, the New Orleans area, Zone 5, holds the 18th position at this time. 19th is where you'll find Daniel Florian. He's from the Carolinas region, covering Central North Carolina and the run to upstate South Carolina and Greenville, Spartanburg area. He's 19th and 20th in this field. Taylor Burris belongs to Kirk Clifford out of the Rocky Mountain region. We know maybe not the biggest region of PCA Sim Racing, but they've had some strong competitors in all classes throughout PCA Sim Racing seasons.
They certainly have, James. But let's go to 21st position. The Gold Coast region's very own Brandon Jadette. Zone 12 currently is in that 21st position. He started 46, so has gained quite a bit of positions here since the start of today's race. Next up, you'll find Jason Brodigan in that 22nd position right now, as he's having a good run in there after starting in 6th, so he's trying to make his climb back up. Sebastiano Ballestieri is in the 23rd position, the Metropolitan New York region driver, having a little bit of a rough go at it right now after starting in 15th. Next up is car 787, the Jersey Shore region's driver of Paul Solk. Car 787 started in 9th and has fallen back to 24th, so trying to see if he can find a little bit of recovery here in the going. Next up in 25th position, car number 2 is none other than Northeast region driver Ronald Cahill, who's had a very interesting night. He has been running inside the top 25 most of the night here at Road America. 26 is the 02 of Donald Binkley from the Music Stock region. As they worked his way through towards the carousel, he's having a little bit of a tough tight here after starting in 7th. In 27th position will be none other than Gregory Sampson, car 91 from the Maverick region, which is located in Texas. As they work their way out of the carousel, he is in hot pursuit of none other than Donald Binkley. Rusty Pruden, car 96 from the Central Indiana region, started 44th, has climbed all the way up to 28th position, having a great run here so far after that. And then in 29th, Ben Luang is also there in car 290. Rounding out your top 30, another Maverick region driver in a heavy battle is in the 30th position, Will Kelly.
31st tonight is going to be Nick Paglia, the 13 driver from the Nordstern region of zone number 10. Trying to work his way through this one. He's lost a lot of spots, unfortunately for him tonight. He's got to try and make up what he can. Behind him, it's going to be David D. Palmer in 32nd, a 72 car, the Upper Canada region of zone number 1. He is doing what he can with this. Again, had some busy, unfortunate racing for him tonight, which has put him back a distance. Next up, we're looking for the next driver on track here, and it's going to be Will Mungdia in 33rd at the moment, I think it is. He is currently +1 lap. Behind that, it's James Bernard in 34th, the 44 car from the Alaska region, very, very north, zone number 11. Very cold zone for Bernard, but he's putting on a better performance than he wanted as he's up a spot. Behind that, it is James Crook in 35th, doing what he can here to push forwards on the track, trying to find some room. 36th is the 517, as we always cut him, he spins in front of him there. Jeff D. Williams of the Rocky Mountain region, zone number 9, trying to push through here as well. Antonio De Silva is in 37th, the 24 car, Metropolitan New York region of zone number 1. Going through this one tonight as well. He's up 3 spots. 38th is Adam Gerling, Metropolitan New York driver, having a rough night in his rough. He's down 2 spots. 39th is the 45 of Scott Lilly from the Connecticut Valley region of zone number 1. Gerling is also struggling tonight. He's down 2 positions where he started. Motaz Mardini there, the 48 car is in P40, the Orange Coast region, zone number 8. Mardini is down 29 places. He's had a very rough start as well. Lot of attrition we're finding in this as James, you got the rest.
I do indeed, working through the final 4 cars of this field. We've got lots of action here. This is Jeff Rosenthal, who's just going off the racetrack in 42nd position out of the Yosemite region of the PCA, up by all the good stuff there and all the mountains that you see there. 43rd is Ryan Rapolos in the 666. He's on pit road, as is Ryan McGee and James Legault, Robert Walton, David Sintel, and Drew Kenny off track at this time. And there you are, 48 cars, Rachel, which I don't think is quite a record for PCA Sim Racing in a class, but it's pretty close. A lot of drivers to talk about in this sport class.
Certainly is, of course, and we are back on track with the action after what was probably one of our longest midway race breaks, and of course that concludes tonight's Sport Midway race break, as I can speak English, I promise, brought to you by Pirelli. Front, Ken Tubman is putting on a good show here, 4.5 seconds clear of Ogren Gerlach, as Gerlach himself is running a good 8 seconds clear of Thomas LeMay. John Martin behind him, Curtis Crummell in the 5th position here, and really in this one, Taylor. It's been such a busy race.
It certainly has, Rachel. As we watch on this battle for the race lead and second place, you see Oregon Gerlap working through the carousel right now. He's trying to see if he can make up some ground on his competitor of Ken Tubman, who's 6.2 seconds up the road from here. But it's going to be a tough battle for him as he's trying to negotiate the lap traffic. The good news is Ken Tubman's also having to go through the same ordeal as negotiating this lap traffic. As they approach Canada Corner, one car actually pulled off after blowing an engine, so he'll have to come down pit road to get that repaired.
Yeah, he certainly will, of course. And yeah, we've seen a lot of attrition, James, in this one. It's been a hectic race, but with 48 cars, there was no other way this could go. This is probably the biggest field I've seen in PCA.
A big field with lots of cars and lots of friends as well, both the human and I suppose other animal type. And we'll talk about one of those here in just a few moments, because you look at Jeff Rosenthal, who we just talked about, a little bit buried in the field, but we know that there are certain animal friends that drivers in PCA Sim Racing have, that it's not just humans helping these drivers go fast. Same thing here with Jeff Rosenthal, who has a friendly four-legged crew chief instead of the two-footed that we've seen. This is Kevin, who calls the shots for the 713 car, and Rosenthal will probably have a pretty big debrief with Kevin, I think, afterwards, and maybe a good bowl of treats or something for all the work he's put in. But Jeff with a lot of fun. And if you have a certain crew chief or crew member that you'd like to show off, don't forget to submit your information to Podium Esports, and who knows, maybe we'll feature part of your team on the next broadcast. But there's Kevin, or Kevin Rosenthal, I think, officially, from Jeff Rosenthal out of the Yosemite region of the PCA.
Absolutely. And it is definitely being very busy tonight, as we've got some battles boiling up there. P3, Thomas LeMay, and behind him, that is John Martin in the 25 machine, pushing on here, catching up to LeMay here. Started 10th up to 4th, but LeMay 14th to 3rd. They've passed once. Will they pass again? It's going to be interesting to see whether or not he can catch up here and do something about this. But there's a podium spot on the line. Taylor, John Martin's got to go for this.
He certainly is, as they come out of the carousel heading over to the kink right now. LeMay has a good line through there, but can John Martin find the speed that he needs? Looking at timing and scoring last time by, John Martin was about a tenth faster than Thomas LeMay. As they now head into Canada Corner, you see Martin take a peek right there to the inside, ducks back in line as we see LeMay get the better run off corner exit through Canada Corner, climbing up to the hill through the final couple of corners before they get to turn 14 and then make the long run down the front straightaway.
Yeah, they absolutely do, and it's a big run here. Who gets the best run out of that corner will really dictate who can gain there. Now, that car's too slow for Martin to even use him for a potential draft as they come down the start-finish line. The gap's too big for a pass anytime soon, but the gap widening even more now between Tubman and Gerlap. 4 more seconds. It's 8-second gap now, which is insanely big. There to Gerlap back in second place. LeMay, they're not hugely far apart. It's a spread of about 14 seconds, which on a track like Road America's relative, it's only really 3 corners places, or on the same straight in others. But it's just an insurmountable sort of time here, James. That is a huge gap we're seeing already, and it's just proving how fast some of these guys are.
And how great some of these battles might be as we take a look at Dean Chapman off his rear wing. There goes Snelling to the inside to make that move, I would imagine, with relative ease off into turn 1. And indeed he does. Just Snelling to 8th, Chapman to 9th, and maybe back to 10th. If we see the lap machine here, I take that back. No, that's John Crook, who's a little bit further back in the field. So Crook trying to get his lap back from at least Snelling. He has a ways to go find Ken Tubman, but Tubman's in good shape. The only real battle up in the top 5, Thomas Lamar and John Martin, right on board with Martin as they work their way through the carousel here, trying to chase down Lamar in the white car. This would be for the final spot on the podium, so certainly not small potatoes here.
Absolutely not. It's going to be a huge one, of course, and we've seen a huge amount of change here, Taylor. This one has been probably our most hectic. I've mentioned this so many times before in this round, but I'm struggling to keep up myself with this one. It's a bit of a deep end for me the first time taking the lead here from the venerable James Pike. And I gotta say, these guys have put on a show. We've had racing throughout the field, we've had action, we've had calamity, we've had contests. It has been absolutely crazy. Honestly, a massive field compared to what we've seen in previous rounds. But Ken Tubman, probably one of the few times I've actually seen a driver take pole or take the lead of the race from the pole sitter.
Certainly has been, and you'll probably see more of that as we progress throughout the season here with the PCA here, Rachel, with Series 6. Quick update on one of our top 10 competitors who we talked about. David Snelling had a little bit of an incident, went off track, was able to get rejoined. He still holds on to that 9th position, but he's going to have his work cut up as he's dropped down to 10th after Peter Yerxa was able to get by him for that 9th spot. But as the minutes continue to wind down here, we should be seeing the white flag this time by, Rachel, that Tubman has had a dominant run, and he's been a staple in the series for quite some time. The Lone Star Region driver knows a thing or two about getting around with these Porsches as he gets on a great show in the roof.
Absolutely is. And the battle between LeMay and Martin has gotten closer. Martin closing in on the rear diffuser there of Thomas LeMay in the 701. As we're coming down short on time here. This one is only maybe a minute out, so we're looking at nearly our final lap. Ken Tubman is most likely, I think here, James, going to get the white flag this time by.
It'll be close, I think, as Tubman should have some time here coming down through Canada Corner. He's got 50 seconds to go across the start-finish line, so he should have time. So, yes, I think you're right. Probably one more lap after this for Ken Tubman to bring it on home.
Oh, let's hope he does that exactly. Let's not curse him, shall we? That could become very awkward for Ken Tubman. The commentator's curse is strong here as... car goes wide in front of Girl up there. Could have been nearly a disastrous moment. I think that was not Crummell. I thought it was him on the track for a moment there, but it's not, as that gap actually widening now here between Martin and LeMay. Starting to see LeMay pull away slightly here. This one will come down to the wire, I think, Taylor.
Yeah, certainly so, as we watch the leader take the final lap here around this track. More issues over in turn number 5 as a couple of cars go around, so we'll have to wait and see if Ken Tubman will be able to avoid that. But you're on board with John Martin in that 4th position. He wants to try to get on the podium here tonight as he will look down heading into turn number 1, trying to get around Thomas LeMay here. He's got one shot here, but he's got 13 corners to do it.
Absolutely does, and it's going to be a tough run here as we think... James, just confirm for me, I think Ken Tubman is on his final lap now.
Should be indeed. This is just Ken Tubman trying to ride this out. He's got a 13-second lead over Orgun Garalp, and nothing hard for him. Just has to make sure he doesn't end up in trouble.
Absolutely does, and it's coming in close now as that gap, 13 seconds now to Gerlap. They're both just maintaining track time here as we've got cars off ahead of Gerlap there, which is definitely making things a little bit shakier for him, but coming down to the wire here, and what has been our busiest race I think I've ever seen in this series. This one has been crazy. I'm exhausted just watching it.
Well, I can only imagine how these drivers are, Rachel, because especially for drivers such as Ken Tubman, who put on a clinic on the field to keep this pace going, to be able to hold off Orgun Garlap and pull away by 14 seconds over the field. That is a drive that is worth mentioning here tonight as he comes to Canada Corner for the final time. Lap traffic in front of him, but he will work his way through no problem. The Q Cup roof.
Certainly is, of course, and Ken Tubman now coming up towards the end of our race here. It's been a very busy one for him. 30 minutes of racing, 2nd place in the grid, but it will be the top step of the podium he climbs as he climbs the final hill here at Road America under the NTT bridge and across the line for Ken Tubman to win the sport class presented by Pirelli here for the PCA series. Orgun Garlap now coming out the final corner to do the same thing, that big last climb. And behind him, Thomas LeMay as well, coming in only 4 seconds behind Gerlap. And wow, that has been a crazy, crazy run tonight. Well, we are going to run down your post-race results here really quickly as the rest of the drivers are coming across the line. We don't expect any changes now in running order. Ken Tubman, of course, your winner. Ogren Gerlap in second. Thomas LeMay in third. John Martin fourth. Will Waldron, Carl Boccieri, Jason Baum, Dean Chapman, Peter Yerkser, and Bob Moore in 10th.
I got to keep an eye here because there are a lot of good battles taking place a little bit further back. Bob Moore and Stuart Nelson, incidentally, one of those very good battles. These drivers making their way through Canada Corner for the last time as Nelson's going to dive it down and make contact with Bob Moore and send him wide. And Nelson will at least get the spot, but I don't know if race control might look at the way that panned out and maybe end up penalizing Nelson. We'll see, but even then, he's lost spots here to Thomas Doherty and Jason Brodigan. And there goes Nelson, who's looped it around anyway. So Nelson's going to lose a few spots. And Doherty, all of a sudden, up into the 9th position to end this. And Brodigan to 10th. And Bob Moore in the 11th position when he comes across the line. So it never is properly over till it's over. But we can say officially now that his race is done that it is Moore who comes home in 11th. 12th goes to, well, 12th will go, rather, to Stuart Nelson as he comes across the line. We'll wait to make sure he crosses to make it official, and he does. So he'll go there. Same for David Snelling, who comes home in the 13th position. Tom Crane was 14th. Kurt Clifford, 15th this evening. Daniel Florian, 16th. Sebastiano Banastrieri will cross the line right now to finish in the 17th spot. 18th up the hill and across the line is Donald Binkley. And 19th and 20th were John Martin and Curtis Crummell. They were one lap down. Binkley's the last car to finish this race.
21st goes to Nick Paglia, followed by Gregory Sampson, 22nd. Will Kelly in 23rd, followed by Ronald Cahill, 24th. 25th goes to Ben Luang, followed by Brandon Jadette in 26th. Will Munguia will come home 27th, followed by Jeff Williams in 28th. James Bernard and Rusty Pruden round out your top 30.
40th place tonight is going to be Adam Gerling with Paul Salk, Lanre Sirumi, Ryan Rapalas, Ryan McGee, James Legau, Robert Walton, David Sentinel, Drew Kenny in 48th. With that, folks, we're going to do a quick commercial break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back with the next round in the PCA series as we bring you all the action from the Club Series.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Welcome back, race fans. We are live with the Club Class sponsored by Michelin here at Road America for our third race of the night. And we're going to go straight to your starting grid. Kicking off tonight, Jonathan Waltman is leading the way from zone number 8, with second place. The number 3 is Travis Brody. Third place is the number 1's Robert Lacroix. With fourth place, Brett Holmes from zone number 8. Fifth place is the 13 zone's Colin Schmidt. With sixth place, zone number 2's Robert Rose. Seventh place is the number 1's Aaron Ambrosino. Eighth place, zone number 4's James Hayosh. Ninth place is zone number 3's Sean Murphy. And 10th, zone number 1's Mark O'Harris.
11th on the grid this evening is Daniel Rubel. 12th is Jean-Paul Leno. Ian Scheinman rides in the 13th position. 14th belongs to Gary Rice. Jeremy Masriello starts in the 15th spot. 16th belongs to Michael McKinney. Klaus Nielsen, Patrick Gill, Julian Velez, and Ryan Korziowski complete the top 20.
21st goes to Tamer Albaga, followed by Greek Lightning, George Markadakis in 22nd, Jared Roadheaver in 23rd, followed by Kevin Douglas, 24th, Mario Gonzalez in 25th, followed by Brian Granger in 26th, Jake Steinbrink, 27th, Bruce Robinson, 28th, Chris Duffy, 29th, and Jensen Benet rounds out your top 30.
40th tonight is Ken Eskridge with Mike Nyden in 41st, Nikki Chan, Jian Wen, and Dave Stewart in 44th. As we round out your field, guys, we're about to start racing here in the club class. Of course, tonight's third one, brought to you by Michelin. Don't forget, we're here at Road America. The 4.04 mile, really long laps here, just over 2 minutes, about 11 seconds in this Porsche 911 we're in now. The GT3 car, not the roof anymore, the 911 GT3. And this track is 14 turns. Opened in 1955, and we're running as always for 30 minutes. So, expecting a very different kind of race here. We'll have to see what happens when this kicks off, James, but this is a different car entirely to the roof.
It is. It's the 911 GT3 Cup car that we've run consistently throughout PCA Sim Racing's history. The first car that ever ran in PCA Sim Racing competition, and soon to just be the Cup car, I suppose, when you consider that the proper GT3 is going to enter the series coming up in June.
Absolutely will, and as we start rolling now under the NTT bridge, Jonathan Waltman will bring the field to the start here with Travis Brody alongside him on that front row. Green flag waves and we're off racing here at Road America, and it's a big start by Schmitz behind them as he tries to find a way between the two front rows. There's no opening for him. Very tight here as they come into the first corner. Will they make it through clean? It's going to be a tough run here as they're too wide for second. Spreads out a little bit. Too wide just behind them with Schmitz and Holmes diving down through 2 into 3. Big braking here as the whole pack comes flying through here. Another huge field of a car off towards the front of your field there. Single car moment for him as we'll come through. That's, Robert Lacroix. That is not a great start for 64 from third on the grid. He is now going to be behind a lot of cars as we have challenge for the lead here as Brody dives at the inside of Waltman to take an early lead here at Road America. Cleanly passes him in 5. Through he'll go. Schmitz on Holmes as well, as he's going to complete that in turn 6 under the Corvette bridge. It should be his, although we're about to see a hold here by Holmes. Holmes holds it on the outside. Will he get the inside for the next corner? It's going to cost him a lot of time to Brody and Waltman out front, and a wobble. He loses that spot, so they single file out here. Taylor, this is already pretty hectic, but a totally different race.
It certainly is. As you see right in front of Robert Rose, one car goes wide. That is Brett Holmes, who goes through turn number 8 a little bit too wide as he gathers it back up through the carousel. You see that battle right there happening for that third position between Robert Rose and Colin Schmidt. And you see Rose on the outside down towards the kink. He tries to hold off the position here, completes the pass Colin Schmidt does as they head through the kink, and a great pass right there.
Absolutely is, of course, a very busy start to tonight's events, James, as Travis Brody chasing down Waltman, of course. It's been a big push, actually, here. Waltman got back past him there after that initial start. It was a very fractious beginning here. We weren't sure who was going to hold position, but it looks like Waltman's really secured that lead here over Travis Brody. LaCroix, of course, had his moment back there. He's lost that position. Brett Holmes also fighting hard here, but he's down one as well, as Schmitz is really kind of grinding that car.
Is indeed. I'll also keep my eyes here on Brett Holmes. I believe was the one that got into Robert LaCroix over in turn 3 on the initial lap. That may constitute an orange zone penalty from race control, depending on how they see it. So we'll have to wait and see if Holmes is able to maintain this track position or whether or not he ends up getting dinged with a drive-through penalty.
That is absolutely correct. It could be close. We'll have to find out what happens to those guys here, but there's still plenty of race left to go in this one. We have a busy one ahead of you, as I'm still surprised to see Greek Lightning so far back in the grid here, Taylor. What is happening?
Well, it could be also due to the fact that it's early on in the race. He may not have the best qualifying attempt. He currently sits in that 34th position. The Greek Lightning, George Markadakis from the Metropolitan New York region, trying to see if he can just survive this race as well. It's a big track. A lot of things can happen, and he still has time. It's just shy of 27 minutes have just passed here, or as we continue on here today. George Markadakis, though, will find his way up through the field as he is in a battle right now, trying to get through this gaggle of cars in front of him. Next on his list, Dave Stewart in the 914.
Absolutely trying to work forwards on that one and see what he can do with the positioning here, but we have a humongous conga line of cars all following Jonathan Waltman here as he heads down towards the back end of the lap here at Road America, down the kettle bottoms from the kink and the run down towards Canada Corner, as his gap is widening already. He's broken that draft range here, James, which is a big thing for him, but it seems to have closed back up again. Brody's staying with him, but it's not quite close enough to really attack. Colin Schmitz is waiting in the wings.
Should be very intriguing to see whether...
Huge race-changing moments back in Kettle Bottoms. We're trying to work out who this was. We had big problems. Jean-Paul Lano, I know, involved in this initially, actually, as we had a spin, as we'll get the replay for you here, by the 08 machine of Ambrosino. Goes sideways, catches Lano, and everyone piles into everybody. Big moment.
Certainly was. In fact, George Markadakis was also in that incident as well, so a tough break for him as cars are flying all over that circuit, as you see on the replay as they come out of Canada Corner.
Absolutely do, and I got busy. Brody on the screen here on board with him as he chases down Waltman as they run down towards turn number 5 here. It's been a busy one. He got an early lead, but he lost it very quickly as he's trying to fight back here and try and regain that position. It's going to be a tough one for him, though, I think, with how this one's playing forwards. I just don't maybe think he's got the track position. It could be like race 1 where we saw the leader just dip out and run, but of course we saw a change in race 2. Is that going to be maybe the story of our season? Are we going to see real battles for the leads here? Make things a challenge as Colin Schmitz is still trying to eat up that gap. But just over 2 seconds back here, James, is really going to make things a little bit more difficult trying to catch up for that draft range. It's such a draft-important track.
It can be in spots. It depends on where you are on the racetrack. There are places here like the run out of the carousel through the kettle bottoms and into Canada Corner. It matters there, and then obviously on that long front stretch as you climb the hill and you go all the way from turn 14 to turn 1. So you can get a draft train going for sure, but it needs to be in the right space in the racetrack. There's also the run between turns 3 and 5. that also merits consideration. That's a pretty long straightaway that you can get a run off of, too.
Absolutely is, of course, and coming up through the field is going to be a tricky prospect tonight. We've got some movement so far, though. Michael McKinney is up to 4 spots from 16th to 12th. 20th to 11th. Ryan Kornowski is absolutely flying here. He's been one of the standouts last season. Is definitely showing he's a very fast driver today. Qualifying, I think, has been trickier for these guys, perhaps, than in previous seasons. We see a lot of guys out of position to an extent. 34th to 21st is Randall Ayers. He's up from, well, like I said, 31st to 21st. He's moving hugely through the field. As Jared Rodehaver is up as well. He's had a spin, though, unfortunately, so that's going to really put a damper on his potential there as he lost it in Canada Corner to advance further in this one. Overall, a really clean race we've seen here. Some single car races have led to some race-changing moments for multiple drivers, Taylor, but there's been no real car-on-car crime.
No, there really hasn't. And talking about some drivers who have worked their way up through the field, one driver we have to give a shout out to is driver in car number 911, Jensen Benet. Now, for those of you who've been a fan of the PCA Sim Racing series, Jensen Benet was one of those drivers who had put on great performances through past series. In fact, him and his brother would be ones to compete against each other to see who would win their respective classes. But the Lincoln Trail driver definitely trying to get on a good show here tonight as he has worked his way up into the top 15.
Doing what he can to further that agenda, trying to get his way towards the front of the field as well as he can. As Jensen Benet is another good one here, 30th to 15th, moving incredibly quickly up the ranks here. We've had, again, some turmoil. It's changed things around, but as this race goes onwards, we're only about 9 minutes in so far, but it's already been incredibly action-packed, James. We're seeing a lot of things happening here. But this has been one of our most competitive classes, really, in the PCA.
It usually is, to be fair. Club class tends to have some of the best racing, and I think it's no surprise that we're seeing that pan out here. You've got some great action between Colin Schmitz, Travis Brody, Robert Rose, Brett Holmes and company. Everybody all in really good shape.
Absolutely are. Well, we have your winner from the sport class. We've got Ken Tubman here with you. Ken, are you with us? He might, in fact, not be with us, but we do have Ken Tubman here. I promise you.
I was there. I got muted when I was on the way in. I can hear you.
Yeah, we got you, Ken. Congratulations, of course, on winning the first round of Season 6. A very busy race, of course. You actually had to work for this one.
Yeah, I did. And I got a little lucky in the beginning. Oregon put down a great lap in qualifying, and I've raced with him in some Q Cup races, and he's kind of walked all over me, so I was surprised I could stay with him. So I just wanted to keep it close, and then I got lucky when he got stuck behind a car that had some issues, and I was able to sneak by.
Well, certainly an impressive run, of course, there. No small feat and putting a stamp on the season, really, here. Are you hoping for great things, especially with some of the very different tracks coming up?
Well, yeah, obviously it's a great group. There's some real tough competition. I was thrilled to get a little bit ahead of Will Waldron, who often beats me, and Oregon, and there's a bunch of guys who are great, so I'm hoping to be able to race with them and hang with them for the season.
Now, the real question is here, are you afraid of Long Beach?
No, I'm not afraid of any track because it's easy to push a button if something goes wrong.
That is one way to put it. Well, congratulations yet again. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank for this?
Well, I've been racing with Q Cup for a while. They've been really great and helpful. I'd like to thank our sponsors for our zone group. Porsche Exchange gave us some great prizes. And the Matrix guys, I've been running with them very recently, and they're also extremely helpful.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Ken Tubman, coming home with a win in the sport class here today. And he's going to be our interview for that series. Thank you for joining us, Ken. As out on track, the action is still very much progressing here as Waltman leading the way here from Brody about 2 seconds back there. As, in fact, I think he's been passed here by Colin Schmitz, actually, who's moved up to second place. We'll see that tick across on the timer, but Schmitz is definitely putting a stamp down here. 5th to 2nd big gap back to Waltman, of course. Nearly 3 seconds there. But he is moving through this one, Taylor.
He certainly is. A very surprising run for car 497 of Colin Schmidt right now. And looking at his times, he's not too far off the pace of your race leader, Jonathan Waltman, but he's going to have a little bit of work to do as he's about 2.9 seconds back from your race leader. But as we've seen in each of the other two classes, lap traffic is going to come into play right now, as we'll see how Jonathan Waltman, Colin Schmidt, and Travis Brody are able to negotiate the traffic as we see the battle for 14th. Paul Netto, as he is trying to hold off. One car goes through the grass, into the sand trap, into the barrier. Couldn't catch who that is. That might have been Robert LaCroix again.
Absolutely could have been him. He's not had a great run with this one. It's been incident after incident. It is LaCroix in turn one there. Really hurt his chances from third on the grid. This can't be a great day for him, but I think he came up the inside, got on the grass, and went straight across the track. No real option to turn that car as he went into the tyre barrier there. Kind of gently, but still, the sand trap did his job. I think maybe just shake it up after a really great qualifying, expecting more here, James, and it's set him out of his comfort zone.
Perhaps. Certainly an option there, and it just is going from bad towards from LaCroix as we look a little bit elsewhere in the field to see a really solid battle here with the 104 car. Just looking at this train of machines as they work their way down towards turn 8 and 9, headed off towards the carousel. So a good group here that Paul Neto leads, but it's Gary Rice, Chris Duffy, Jake Steinbrink.
Ooh, trouble for Colin Schmidt in the Canada corner. He ends up going around.
Fourth place, Colin Schmitz.
Oh, second place, Colin Schmitz. That was second place. He's had a big
now sixth place and maybe more.
Yeah, definitely going backwards now as I'm trying not to cough here after I had a bit of a moment myself, as he had a solo spin there in Canada, and unfortunate for him, pushed it too hard and paid the price.
Certainly did right there, as he was having such a great run, but all of that hard work has now have to fight his way back up again. He has to hold off Julian Velez now in order to catch up to Daniel Rubel, who's now in the 5th position as he now comes across the line. The gap now between him and Rubel, 2.7 seconds, as he now has to hold off 7th, 8th, and 9th position as they enter turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely are, of course, as it is definitely evolving here. A big shake-up there, I think, at the front. That will totally change the direction of this, but that means a bigger gap here for Waltman. 4.7 seconds back to Brody in second place now, who started in second and now returns to it. Third place occupied by 6th place qualifier Robert Rose. He's made his way forwards here. Followed as well as right behind there, Brody. So this could be a close battle we're seeing, expecting.
Brody and company here just trying to click off laps, I think, at this point and keep pace with Waltman, but Waltman is a solid almost 5 seconds up the road. So again, same sort of story that we've seen for the race lead, where the leaders have been able to get away, but the battles behind the lead have actually been pretty entertaining. And we can slide a little bit further back to P7. Guess who's in another battle, just like he was throughout the whole of the Zone Group Challenge? Julian Velez. This time it's Michael McKinney and Ryan Korsniowski. Korsniowski and Velez have a little bit of experience racing each other from the ZGC, but McKinney is new to that fray, but not a surprise to see them pretty much nose to tail.
Absolutely is, of course, and we'll hopefully see that one evolve into a much closer battle here as Schmitz is trying to regain his time. But behind that, we've got a really close run here between McKinney, Kowanowski, and Velez just ahead of those guys here. Brian Granger's trailing behind that group, hoping to pick up some scraps from this one as 9th, 8th, and 7th battle right on top of each other here, Taylor, as they come into the Henry Bridge.
They certainly do right now. You see Ryan Korzeniewski trying to find a way around Michael McKinney as they enter turn 14.
Absolutely is, of course, and it kind of helps if we know where everybody is. So, of course, it's time as we cross the midway point of tonight's race in the sport class. It is time, the club class, I apologize. Brought to you, of course, by Michelin. Number 8, doing a fantastic job out on the racetrack tonight, as he has led this from the drop of the flag, apart from a small swap with Brody early on. Second place, of course, Travis Brody, the 020 from the Palmetto region of zone number 3. Doing everything he can here to try and get back to the race leader. As he spins it on the camera, the curse is real tonight. Now, P2 is Robert Rose, who was P3 with the Shenandoah region, zone number 2. The 443 takes second. Here, he is moving his way forward. Started in 4th, now in 3rd.
It has climbed up to the 29th position. The Upper Canada region driver, a very good start, 29th position is Ken Estridge, car number 18 from the Heart of Dixie region. So climbing up right now by himself as he comes up to turn number 14 to continue on his way. And rounding out your top 30, Dante Tornello from the Sunny Coast, Florida region. Zone 12 having a good run as he continues up the hill and continues on. Started in 39th position, so a great run for him so far. 31st position is Julian Wen from the Upper Canada region. Zone 1 represented quite well here in the club class, or the sport class, as they continue on their way through, as they work their way down the front straightaway. 32nd position, Jared Roadheaver. Had a very difficult run so far. He is currently, after starting 23rd, in the 32nd position. 33rd is Chris Duffy, who had a bit of an issue as he is now trying to come on pit road. We just talked about him. In 34th, Klaus Nielsen is in the 04, the Lone Star region driver, trying to make a recovery run here as he started in 17th. 34th position is James Hayosh, who is started 8th, has fallen all the way back to the 34th position. The Southeast Michigan region driver, very difficult run, hopefully to see what he can do when we head to Watkins Glen. 35th, a fan favorite of the PCA, Mike Knighton, the Peach State region driver. He is trying to see if he can get a better run here tonight as he started a little bit further back in 41st, but he has climbed up to the 35th spot. Greek Lightning, George Markadakis in the car 103. Not the best run after starting 22nd. Got involved in that early incident out of Canada corner. The Zone 1 driver from Metropolitan New York region trying to fight his way back. Chris Duffy, we mentioned earlier, he fell back to 37th. 38th goes to John Montgomery, who's right behind him right now as they work their way down into turn number 5. John Montgomery from the Upper Canada region, the JRPOnline.com 69 Porsche, is now trying to be in hot pursuit to gain another spot. Next up, Ian Simon, the Q Cup favorites here in the PCA after starting 13th. He is the last car on the lead lap. 39th position goes to the first car one lap down, Marco Harris from the Connecticut Valley region, having a decent run after having some issues, but trying to fight his way back up to the field after starting 10th. Next up is Michael McKinney, car 527. He is off the track right now, followed by track Aaron Ambrosino, who's still on pit road in 43rd, with Jean-Paul Leno rounding out your 44-car field.
And well, this concludes tonight's Club Class Midway Race Break brought to you on tonight. And I do apologize for choking repeatedly back there, but human systems and organ function is weird sometimes. People do people things. But the racing goes on, and Jonathan Waltman is putting on a great show tonight. 8.8 seconds clear of Robert Rose. Rose, though? Well, he rose through the positions from 6th to 2nd right now. Brett Holmes 4th to 3rd, and Rubel 11th to 4th. Putting on some fantastic runs from these guys. Really excited to see what they've put in here. We've seen probably more position change in this race alone, James, than we have in the other two classes.
I think that's a pretty accurate statement. There's been a little bit more racing, I think, across the board in this club class. But again, as we said before, that tends to be the case. The skill level goes up progressively through the night as we work our way through the classes in PCA Sim Racing. And in that sense, it shouldn't be a surprise that we're seeing better racing as the night goes on. Jonathan Waltman's still ahead. It's a 9-second lead he's got now. And beyond that, not too many battles to talk about on the racetrack, at least within the top 10. You have to go to 10. And Ryan Korsniowski and Bruce Robinson to find your first good one. And then you've got Gary Rice, Sean Murphy in a good fight for 12th. Robert Connell and Mario Gonzalez fighting for 16th. Jeff Smith and Jeremy Mazriello for 20th. And Patrick Gill and Robert McCroy for 24th. Also, George Markadakis and Michael McKinney for 35th. Those are your tight battles on the racetrack. But this is all Jonathan Waltman here, who I suspect will have one more lap to go after this one. So he'll come around, get the white flag when he crosses the line the next time by, and hopefully we'll wrap this up, get him the win in Series 6.
Certainly will. Only 2.5 minutes left on the clock here. Can Waltman bring it home tonight with a nearly 10-second lead over Rose? Taylor, honestly, it's looking like another clean run by Waltman. He's put on a fantastic showing tonight. We've seen some drivers really put their stamps on these first rounds of Series 6. I'm really looking forward to an exciting race to see who can catch them.
Certainly is. I mean, if you think about it, Jonathan Waltman's been a main staple of the PCA here in the past couple of series, and he has had a couple of great runs. I believe, if I remember correctly, this could be his first official win in PCA Sim Racing competition, but he's got a tight competition to battle with. I mean, Robert Rose, we talked about during the Zone Group Challenge, a very strong competitor during that, picking up a couple of wins, so he's going to have an interesting season battling with some of these drivers here in this class.
He absolutely is, of course, and we'll see where this one goes for him, but some of the big players I think we need to focus here on, James, more than just Waltman. Other people like Kowanowski, he's up 10 places. Robinson, 18 places. 20 positions for Granger is a huge one as well. And we also, I think, here have what looks to be 17 places for Kevin Douglas. And, wow, 22 for Bennett. These guys are going to be ones to watch.
Absolutely, guys that we'll need to watch here over the course of this season. Drivers who can come through a sizable field here, to say the least. Again, we had 48 cars in the sport class, 44 in this club class. So no doubt that there's plenty of action to be found across the field in PCA Sim Racing, and lots of fun to be had. But it's all Jonathan Waltman who's in control of this as he is trying to wrap this up and finish this off.
Certainly will, and that clock running down here. Definitely coming into the final moments of this one, as it has been an incredibly busy race here in the club class, sponsored by Michelin. And this is going to be the white flag. I think we just had the white flag, right, James? Or
Should be 16 seconds on the clock, and there's no way the Waltman's going to be able to get back right and complete another lap. So this should be it for the 7 car.
This should be absolutely it. So, an exciting race and a busy one. It was an early kind of fluctuation when we saw a change in the lead, but Waltman has re-secured it and come home to a humongous lead here in this club class, which, with the level of experience and talent, is a huge achievement really for him. So, very exciting to see him pull that one off here at Road America. An incredibly challenging circuit for these drivers, but it just shows the breadth of talent we have here in the PCA series and what they can put on for you guys on the racetrack. Well, looking at it right now, Taylor, it has been incredibly close.
Think about this, of how talented this pool of drivers is. Over 600 drivers have signed up to compete in PCA Sim Racing competition. 150 drivers for this series alone. That just shows you the depth and talent of this. And in fact, a couple of series ago, as we see our race leader come to the line, we had a world championship competitor competing in this series.
Certainly did, as Jonathan Waltman comes across the line here to win the first round for the club class in Series 6. Robert Rose climbs the hill as well to come home in that second position from 6th on the grid. A huge one for him. Brett Holmes is not too far behind him, as Rubel will come across the line here as well. He actually passed Holmes for that position. Holmes will come across with Schmidt just ahead of him to move him up a spot, as things changed a lot in our last lap there. As those drivers coming across, is your thoughts on this one, James?
Yeah, just waiting for some of these drivers to come around. We'll see how many we're going to get on the lead lap. Should be somewhere in the ballpark of, I think, 31 drivers that are going to come across and finish. Brian Granger, 6th. Kevin Douglas, 7th. Julian Velez, 8th. 9th. Ryan Krosniowski. Bruce Robinson, 10th in this race. Jensen Benet, Sean Murphy, Jake Steinbrink, Paul Necho, Mario Gonzalez in 15th, and Robert Cottle, P16. 17th to Michael Masters, Michael Patterson in 18th. 19th should go to Jeff Smith, and 20th, once he comes up the hill, should go to Jeremy Mazzariello.
We'll get the rest of those results on your screen as they come in. But folks, this has been a huge one here for the club class, brought to you by Michelin. Of course, they are the 2021 series PCA club class sponsor. Michelin, the presenting partner, of course, as well as the official tyre of IMSA. They are also manufacture and sell tyres for every type of vehicle, including airplanes, automobiles, bikes, earth movers, farm equipment, dump trucks, motorcycles. Michelin also offers a full range of innovative services and solutions to help make mobility safer, more efficient, and more environmentally friendly. Find out more about Michelin at www.michelinman.com. And of course, with that will conclude our club class race tonight. You can catch us on the other side of the commercial break as we will bring you the pro class and the culmination of tonight's racing. Don't go away.
Hagerty is the world's largest provider of specialty insurance for enthusiast vehicles and supports keeping car culture alive through youth programs, the Historic Vehicle Association, the RPM Foundation, and more. Hagerty is home to key programs such as the Hagerty Drivers Club, Hagerty Drive Share, Hagerty Valuation Tools, the Hagerty Drivers Club magazine, and much, much more. For more information, visit their website at hagerty.com. PCA Sim Racing is proud to have Hagerty Motorsports as its 2021 title sponsor.
Welcome back to the PCA series, and we are here for the final of the 4 races tonight. The Pro Class brought to you by Porsche. Porsche, of course, is more than a sports car. It's a way of life for all of us. And we appreciate the support of the PCA Sim Racing as their Pro Class sponsor. With a recent sub 7-minute lap at the Nürburgring in the GT3 and the arrival of the all-new 992 GT3 Cup car to the US, Porsche's dedication to motorsports is stronger than ever. Find out more about Porsche at www.porsche.com. That is www.porsche.com. And with that, we go to the grid of your Pro Series. First, from zone number 1 is Cameron Martineau with second place, zone number 5, Christopher Pies. Third place, zone number 5 is Jason Stanley with fourth, zone 5 is Billy Smith the second. Fifth, zone number 3 is Rafael Amarim. Sixth place, Liam Rositkis from zone number 1. Zone P7, zone number 1 is Bandia Dapathy. With 8th, zone number 9's Rich Minka. 9th, zone 1's James Huth. And 10th, zone 1's Chris Brown.
11th on the grid is Michael Coopersmith. Joe Stiffel starts from the 12th position. 13th belongs to Robert Rattray, and Trey Jawhorn starts from P14. 15th on the grid is William Anderson. Leif Peterson starts from the 16th position. 17th belongs to Dave Schwartz. 18th is where you'll find Jordan Dyer. It's Jason Lisner. In the 19th spot and 20th on the grid is Al Burke.
21st is Rick Reisenberg, followed by Jonathan Schum in 22nd, with James Patak in 23rd, Ed Eisenring in 24th, Rodney Campbell 25th, Stephen Chen in the 26th position, followed by Gabriel Albano in 27th. 28th is Arthur Chan, followed by Kenny Brown in 29th. 30th is Richard Franco.
31st is Christian Rava, Carlos Lopez 32nd, and Michael Tinnis in 33rd. Well, we start the grid moving very, very shortly here as we get ready for the fourth and final round here at Road America. The 4.04 mile, 14-turn track here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin is going to be roaring with the sounds of motorcars. I sound like I'm 80 years old. Race cars is what I actually meant to say. As this field starts to get rolling, our smaller field of the night, 33 cars, which is still huge, gets ready to rumble down that start-finish line here with the roar of those Porsche engines. It's going to be huge. These are the cream of the cream, and it's a big start with a couple of checkups there. Green flag. Cameron Martineau gets a huge jump off the line with Pies in second place there. Not faring anywhere near as well, James.
Cameron Martineau, remember, he won the first event of the PCA Team Racing Series at Sebring last month, so Martineau's got experience winning at the top level of PCA competition. Jason Stanley's fast. We know Chris Pies is going to have some speed. And Billy Smith, remember, he's one of the few drivers to have a championship, one of two, to have a championship in PCA Sim Racing in this 911 Cup car. There we go. How about a tongue twister for you there? But all drivers you would expect to be successful as Martineau tries to hold off Stanley as they go through 5 for the first time.
A big run there, as we'll see Pies trying to fight back here on the 60 machine of Stanley, who's really secured that second place right now, Taylor. Behind them, Billy Smith is pushing what he can to try and make that spot work here. Pies just looking for an opening, and this is a really tight grouping here of the top 4. Really pushing with this one. They've made a good gap here on Amarim and Rositkis behind them as they try and get through here, but it's pretty tight.
Trouble actually for Cameron Martineau. He runs a little wide coming out of turn number 8. Now that'll give the race lead over to Jason Stanley as Christopher Pies will work the outside out of the carousel to take over second place. Billy Smith watches on. That will bring Rafael Amorini into the play as they head into the kink.
Certainly does, and through the kink they come down to Kettle Bottoms as it's a big run here by Martineau. He's got a good lead here into Canada. Pies in second place, pushing with what he can. Third place Stanley trying to find some sort of opening as Billy Smith is right on his rear diffuser. Amram also looking for an opportunity here on Smith. Rositkis just behind them there in 0-5. Making good time here as lap 1 comes to a conclusion, James. This has been a incredibly clean first lap. No issues at all.
No issues there, and a good battle for Stanley, for Pies, for Martineau and company. Stanley, though, is going to be the one to lead this first lap, and then Pies, and then Martineau. So they flip-flop a little bit. And, Pies holds, and Stanley and Martineau swap places from first and third as Billy Smith nearly got run over by Rafael Amorim, but it looks like Shebel Ben-Yopadhyay goes wide at the exit of turn 1.
He absolutely does, and wide is probably the only mistake we've really seen happen here in the Pro Series tonight, brought to you by Porsche. This class has been probably our cleanest start we've had all race long, and the racing is super, super close here, Taylor. These guys are all on top of each other for this one. Big groupings of drivers pushing here as we have nearly a 3-wide run down into 5 as things get very congested, but everyone keeps their distance. Good, respectful racing room here from the whole field in this one. Our top 4 still under a blanket.
If you think about it right now, Rachel, your top 6 is separated by 2 seconds, your top 12 by about 4 seconds. That's how close this field is, and there is battles all over the racetrack here as your race leaders are coming up to turn 8 right now for the second time. Jason Stanley a lot cleaner compared to Cameron Martineau last time by, but Christopher Pies looks to the inside through the carousel, tries to get his nose up underneath that Porsche as they come off corner exit. Can't quite make it work. Stanley will pull away and hold off Christopher Pies. Cameron Martineau, Billy Smith watches on as they head through the kink into the kettle bottoms.
Absolutely are, of course, pushing down here for lap number 2, and Stanley is securing that lead he's just gained. Hopefully he can hold on to this one. Will this be... Oh, and we cooked it. We took too soon, and Jason Stanley runs so wide there into Canada. The pressure of leading ahead of Christopher Pies was too much, and he just tracked off there into the sand. A little bit of a kiss of the tyres. Hopefully those are Pirelli or Michelin tyres based on the sponsors of the previous classes. But yeah, unfortunately for him, he will drop back a few spots there. Pies returns to the top spot in this one. Martineau back in 3rd.
I believe these are Michelin's officially, Rachel, if my memory serves me correctly. We might be able to get a shot here for one of the onboards. And yeah, I'd say that's the Michelin man there. Yep, that's definitely blue on the wheels. So yeah, how about it?
Well, they provided a gentle bump.
A little nudge there, so. But with you got Bib keeping you on the straight and narrow or on the straightaways, you're in good shape, I would say. So pretty good racing here, but some winners to talk to from the club class race first, Rachel.
Absolutely do. We're joined by Jonathan Waltman, the winner in club class. A phenomenal run from him and an incredible result there. How was it for you tonight?
It was great. I was, trying not to push too hard and make mistakes at the beginning, and it seems the mistakes happened to the people behind me and gave me some space. And it's just consistent laps from there.
It absolutely did. A great clean run through this whole thing for you. Just building that time. Is Road America a favorite of yours?
Now it is.
Of course it would be. Anything on the schedule coming up that's going to be a challenge for you?
I don't know. Just take it a week at a time and see how things go.
Only way to do it. Only way to do it. Well, thank you for joining us, Jonathan. A great race from you tonight. Coming home with the win in that club class. Thank you. Anybody? Oh, before you go, anybody you'd like to give a shout out to or thank?
I'd like to thank PCA for putting this on, you guys for doing a great broadcast, and all my friends and family who might still be watching this right now.
Awesome. Well, congratulations again on the win tonight in that club class. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan Waltman.
Thank you.
Right, coming up next, I believe we have going to be, I think it's Robert Rose standing by with James Pike.
Robert Rose came home in second this evening, and Robert, this just felt like an extension of your success in the Zone Group Challenge. You were so fast in that, and it seems like the speed is carried over to Series 6. Are we wrong in that assessment?
I'd like to think not. It was a lot of practice, and it's a lot of, changing driving style and things like that to get adapted back to the Cup car. I definitely wasn't the fastest person here tonight. I mean, I think I was fortunate with a couple of little incidents with guys in front of me that I managed to avoid, and I kept it clean, and, a 0x race helps a lot. So, I think I drove consistent and steady. I think I was the tortoise tonight and not the hare.
Still with plenty of speed, though, to get the podium finish. So it's a good start to Series 6. Watkins Glen coming up next. What are your thoughts on heading to New York's Thunder Road?
Well, I love that track. I think like most of the guys that we run with, I think it's a track a lot of people have a lot of experience with it, even in real life. I know all the Zone 1 guys are going to go real good there. I love it, and so we'll see what happens, and hopefully it just carries over and we stay clean and consistent as we go 1 week at a time.
Robert, who do you need to thank for making tonight's run possible?
Well, the PCA Sim Racing guys, Doug Atkinson, Jim Hemmig, all the guys that make this stuff run, the Zone Group that we're with. I mean, again, I can't ever say enough about them. The sponsors, Hagerty Motorsports, and now Michelin, I guess, here for the club class, new sponsor for me to mention. But as always, my family, my wife and my kids, week in, week out, they're always making room and supporting me, getting dinner ready for me on nights when we got races going on. So my family is a big component to giving me time to do this. So, and you guys, thanks for being here and doing what you do. It's awesome every week.
Well, Robert, congratulations on your runner-up finish. Thanks for the time as always, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Thank you, sir.
It's Robert Rose, your second place finisher tonight in the club class. Third place was the Ruble Machine. Yes, those were indeed Russian rubles on his car, and Dan Ruble is now with Taylor Burris.
Here with Dan Rubel coming home with the final step of the podium. Dan, you put on a great show, but tell us how your race was and the conditions for the track.
Yeah, pretty dicey conditions, pretty hot track temperature out there. And, I think at the end of the day, it was to my benefit. I qualified P11 and was the beneficiary of a lot of unfortunate accidents in front of me. So was able to claw my way forward by happenstance and, really feel bad for Brett Holmes. He had a great race in front of me in the last lap. Just had some unfortunate contact there and allowed me to take the position and take the podium. So, the weather worked out. Hard to drive through, but luck was on my side.
As we get done here, as we continue on and look ahead to Watkins Glen, your thoughts on how your season is and what your goal is for this season?
Yeah, I think just being in the points is my goal. I just got promoted up from sport, so to be on the podium in my first club race is a real honor. A lot of really great drivers here that I have the pleasure and honor of joining the track with. So just racing their company, trying to get in the points. If I can get some more podiums, it'll be a big win for me. First time around in club, so couldn't be happier.
Before we let you go, Dan, is there anyone you'd like to say thank you to?
I thank the Reason Toter crew. Just really great drivers. Keep each other on our toes, and make each other so much better in practice. Jeff Smith, Jared Rodeheaver, Kevin Douglas, Tamarel Baga. We got a big crew here, but really great drivers, and honored to ride with those guys.
Of course, that is Dan Rubel coming home in third. And Rachel, we have a lot of big implications here just happening on the track. Our Cameron Martineau, the pole sitter for the race, was black flagged for jumping the start. Now, as the rulebook states, you cannot go until the green flag is shown on your screen to continue on racing and start of the race. So he was penalized for that. He now has pulled off the track, requested a tow, and is now on pit road.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him there. Really shook up how the race has been running for him. Of course, he lost that lead pretty early on, and unfortunately going a little bit too soon. A bit of excitement going. It definitely makes things a bit more difficult for him as this one plays out. Looking on board with Michael Coppersmith right now, the Hudson Valley Region Zone 1 driver in that 22 car. Right behind an absolute conga line here of other drivers with Huth, Amarim and Mikla right ahead of him. Looking back from Amarim right now, who's running in that 5th spot at the moment, or it could be 4th. I think he passed Mikla. He did. Really busy section of track here. In fact, the guys ahead of him still right on top of this thing as Rizikis and Smith side by side. Their pie is only just ahead of them. This is so much closer than we saw in all through the classes, James. These guys absolutely duking this thing out.
And again, it's exactly what we talked about over the course of this evening, where you get the best racing usually in this pro class. This is the best of the best in PCA Sim Racing, and just about all the big names in PCA Sim Racing are here. So in that sense, I don't think it's any surprise whatsoever that we can look and see 4 cars in a line here fighting for spots in the top 5 and the top 10. And then you slide back a little bit further and you've got another group of about 4 or 5 cars that are fighting towards the back end of the top 10. That's just how racing goes here. And oh, by the way, let's not forget there's that battle for 2nd and 3rd as well between Billy Smith and Liam Ranzitas.
He absolutely is there. Rizikis side by side here with Smith as they come through. Rizikis will get through there, just ease it through in Canada, which is convenient for the Canadian driver as he makes it through there on the 70 machine. Makes a bit of a gap as well through Billy Smith Bend. Up towards the final corner here. Pies got a good lead right now. He's going to be over a second at the line. But Taylor, Pies has not been able to escape yet. Maybe this side-by-side action is exactly what he'd been hoping for.
Certainly so, and if you think about it, Rachel, these three drivers right here are some of the main staples when it comes to PCA competition. Of course, Billy Smith is one of the champions when it comes to running in these Porsche 911 GT3 Cup cars, so he's going to be also one to watch. But of course, Liam Rositas, Christopher Pies, major staples. Liam Rositas has picked up some wins throughout his PCA competition, and then Christopher Pies, one of the heavy hitters here in PCA competition as well, as they now work their way out of turn number 3, heading down towards turn 4 and 5. This is going to be interesting to see how these three drivers are going to work out through the entire season.
Yeah, absolutely are, of course. It's going to be, very interesting to see how this one plays forward. This has been probably the closest one we've seen. And James, I think that definitely says to us that when we get to somewhere like Long Beach, this is going to be an incredible race.
Especially because Long Beach is so much tighter than this track. You've got maybe a little bit wider track in places, but there is literally no runoff room at Long Beach. You wreck, you get in trouble, there's no way to escape it. And that's exactly what these drivers are going to have to fight through over the course of 30 minutes at Long Beach. It should be a lot of fun to watch, though, no matter what happens.
Yeah, absolutely are, of course, and it's going to be very exciting when we get to that stage of this. But right now, we are still very much at Road America, and there's a lot of racing still here to go. But as we hit that halfway point in tonight's race, in the Pro Series, of course, it's time to bring you the Midway Race Break, brought to you by Porsche. Porsche is the 2021 PCA Sim Racing Pro Class sponsor, and they are more than just a sports car. It's a way of life for all of us, and we appreciate their support of PCA Sim Racing as the Pro Class sponsor, with the recent sub-7-minute lap at the Nürburgring in the GT3, and the arrival of the all-new 992 GT3 Cup car to the US. Porsche's dedication to motorsports is stronger than ever. Find out more about Porsche at www.porsche.com. That is www.porsche.com. With that, let's take a look at our drivers. Christopher Pies out front, the Lone Star region, then zone number 5. Number 14 driver from Texas is putting on a grand show today here as he leads this one from second place on the grid, pushing everything he has into this race. P2, Liam Rodikas, the 05, the Upper Canada region driver from zone number 1, has definitely made his way up the field so far. 6th to 2nd. I think probably one of his best showings I've seen him have this time, including the entirety of last season. Really pushing for this one. P3, the 70 of Billy Smith, the second. And the Maverick region, also Texan, zone number 5, is putting on a good show. P number 4, Rafael Amarem, the Peach State region, zone number 3. The Georgia driver really going for this one in that 27 car. Really going to be seeing what he can put on this season. He's be one to watch. Rick Mickler, the 76 Rocky Mountain region, Colorado driver, zone number 9, is having a great showing as well. He's up 3 spots from where he started. James Huth in 6th place is the 12 car, the Hudson Champlain region, zone number 1 driver. He's been busy. He's up 3 spots as well tonight, right in that front battle. 22 car of Michael Coopersmith is the 7th place driver tonight, the Hudson Valley region, in zone number 1. P number 8 is Robert Rattray, the Gold Coast region, zone 12. He is going to be giving this one with an incredibly gorgeous zebra Porsche out of the racetrack tonight. Almost looks like a Tesla livery. I actually really love that. P number 10. 9 is Chris Brown. We've got some order changes here. The 258 car, the Northeast region, zone number 1 driver, in that very familiar looking paint scheme. Can't put my finger on it. P10, Jason Listener, the 92 car, the First Settlers region, zone number 2, is pushing as hard as he can here. Up 9 places so far, one of our big movers, 19th to 10th.
Good work from Jason Listers. Dave Schwartz out of the Golden Gate region, San Francisco Bay Area, rides in the 11th position, and he's part of a pretty good fight that includes Braun and Lisner, and then just behind him is Leif Peterson, who rides in 12th out of the Maverick region, and our Series 5 champion in the Pro class. Peterson holding down the 12th spot as it stands. Jordan Dyer is 13th in this race. He's from the Schienesland region and Zone 10 of the PCA, and Dyer right at the end of this train. He's the last one in line, trying to hang on and see if somebody slips up ahead of him, if he gains a spot off of one of their mishaps. Joe Stiffel is 14th. He's from the Chicago region of the PCA. Longtime PCA Sim Racing competitor. No surprise to see him back in the mix for Series 6. Same can be said about Al Burke, who rides out of the 15th spot. He's from the Upper Canada region, again, Ontario, Greater Toronto area. You know them well if you've seen PCA Sim Racing throughout the years. They've had plenty of drivers. Jason Stanley, who had that rough go of things and slid off the racetrack, started in 3rd. He's down to 16th out of the Lone Star region. It's not going to be the finish that he wanted to have this evening. Arthur Chan, on the other hand, 17th out of the Canada West region. That covers Vancouver, British Columbia, and all the area surrounding. 17th for Arthur Chan midway through this race. 18th is James Patak out of the P-State region, another Atlanta driver. We're running in the 18th position as it stands. 19th, the Florida driver, the number 88, is Christian Rava. Rava out of the Sunclose, Florida region, and another driver with plenty of PCA Sim Racing experience. And back at it for season 6, he's 19th. And then Jonathan Shum out of the Carolinas region, riding in the 20th spot, about a second back of the 88 of Rava.
Go another 3 seconds back to fan favorite Trey Drawhorn, running in the 21st position. Started 14th, having a little bit of damage to that 395 Porsche, but will continue to fight on as he comes out of Canada corner. In the 22nd position, car 929 from the Pacific Northwest region, Ed Eisenring from Zone 6 has had a quiet night, gained a couple of spots since the drop of the green flag. Will continue to fight and try to see if he can catch up to Trey Drawhorn. In 23rd, Rick Reisenberg from the Diablo region, Zone 7, car number 18. He's had a very quiet night, running in 23rd. Started 21st, lost a couple of spots, but seeing if he can gain some more before this race is over. 24th position, Stephen Chen, another Diablo region driver, one that we've seen in PCA competition for multiple series here recently, as they continue on their way in 24th position. 25th is Carlos Lopez. Started 32nd, has climbed up to 25th position, another Texas native from the Maverick region, Zone 5. He's pretty much by himself for the most part, 20 seconds behind Rick Reisenberg. In the 26th position, Richard Franco, car 173 from the Potomac region, as he is pretty much been having a quiet night as well. Started 30th. He is the last car on the lead lap. The first car, one lap down, is none other than Kenny Brown, who's on pit road right now. He has gone 2 laps down since the drop of the green flag. Cameron Martineau, your pole sitter, is not in the race. He has DNF'd here after the penalty and other issues. He will be finishing 28th. 29th is Shabalo Benyopaje, who is also out of the race. 30th is none other than William Anderson, followed by Michael Tennis, Gabriel Albano, and Rodney Campbell, all out of today's race.
Well, this concludes tonight's Pro Class Midway Race Break, brought to you by Porsche, the 2021 PCA Sim Racing Pro Series sponsor. Well, guys, this has been a fantastic race so far. James, Taylor, Road America has brought us some serious challenges, and the Pro Class has really put on a masterclass in how to run this place. It's been a very, very busy race. We've had lots of on-track action. I know we're only past halfway, but it feels like we've been at this all night. These guys are really showing us how to do it here. I'm super excited to see what all 4 classes can do with the rest of the season.
I just love the fact that we're sitting here and I'm looking at the top 4 in this field, and they're separated by 1.5 seconds. That's, I think, to me, maybe the best part out of all of this is we get set to watch these drivers knock it all out. There are some pretty good battles across the board here. It's like Billy Smith got himself in trouble. He's going to need a tow, but you've got Pies and Redzitas who are on top of one another, and then Amarim, who's not terribly far off of those. And then the great battle between Cooper Smith and Minkler, and then just this line I don't think there's any other way you can call it, but a line from Robert Rattray all the way to Jordan Dyer. You want PCA Sim Racing at its best, just go look at that battle for 6th on and watch that. And I think that'll tell you just about everything you need to know.
Well, it's not just that, it's P5, it's P6 with Cooper Smith and Minkler, it's Rattray with Braun, with Listener. Oh my gosh, with Schwartz, with Peterson, with Dyer. That is a huge battle, all the way down to 12th place. There were 36 cars, just under a blanket here, Taylor.
Pretty much.
They're all over each other.
They certainly are, and if you think about it, we just talked about a couple of them. Jason Lisner, a very strong competitor who went toe-to-toe with a multiple-time race winner and champion, none other than Mike Polasek a couple of series ago. He was the main contender, strong competitor, of course, from this season. Leif Peterson, your defending series champion, also in that mix. Mr. Consistency, as I would like to call him, as he works his way up in that 10th spot. But you got a couple of other drivers. Joe Stiffel, who's trying to catch up to that field. He's about 5 seconds back, but he's got a great group of drivers around him as well, such as Al Burke, as there is just battles all over this racetrack as you're on board with second place driver Liam Rodzitis.
Yeah, absolutely is. Rosickas is doing a fantastic job on this one tonight. He's all over pies, and we could see a change for the lead here. Is this going to be what we see? Is this going to be the story of this race? Because this will come down to the wire here. We are currently looking at 5 minutes remaining, so a couple of laps in the bag. Could we see a late race pass here, James? This is going to be huge. This could be the first time we see Rosickas win for a while. If he can do it. And
we almost saw a pass a little bit further back on that P6 battle because Robert Rattray and Chris Braun were door-to-door going around turns 2 and 3. So now Joe Stiffel, who's just ahead of Al Burke. But all eyes on first, all eyes on 6th at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely are. It's an absolute massive cars here as we're seeing some action down into turn 5 here. Is anyone going to be brave enough as we get contact? This will change everything. Oh, contact for 3 of them there, as we just had a very busy moment as I guess the zebra car of Rattray was too well camouflaged for Braun, as they got he went for a doorway that didn't exist anymore or was closing. The replay up on your screens here, the door is closing before he's even put his foot in it, and Braun ends up in there. I think we can kind of put that one on him, as it also involved Listener as well, inadvertently. So change the running order here as we see Schwartz, Peterson, and Dyer push through.
It's a pretty simple explanation on that one, Reg. Braun just got on the brakes too late, tried to get the nose in, but came from about a car length back and just didn't have any space to complete the move. Never mind the fact that you already had Robert Rattray in the racing line in the middle of the corner. It was a move that was very unlikely to work, put it that way.
Unlikely is pushing it. I would go more for optimistic and hopeful. But this is racing. Mistakes happen. Things can look different on the track than they do in the booth. Of course, we have the benefit of hindsight, and it's always 20/20 from hindsight. On the track, we've got seconds to decide, and things look potential. Maybe you didn't think the door would be closed so much or see them coming. We'll never know. But either way, that has changed things a little bit, of course, as Pius pulls a bit more of a gap here on Rosickas at the front, trying to hold that gap open. Amram's joining them now. He could be the dark horse in this race to challenge here. Taylor?
He certainly can be, as you're on board with Rafael Amorim as they now work their way into turn number 3 right now. Looking at the times between your top 3, Rafael was actually the fastest driver last time by, and he actually has the fastest lap of the race right now in your top 10. So keep an eye on Rafael. He might have something for the 2 major competitors of Christopher Pies and Liam Rodzitis, and he's also in that popcorn position, as if any one of those 2 make a mistake, he is there to capitalize.
Yeah, he certainly is, and we'll be excited to see what he can do here with that, as it's going to be a really tight fight here between Pius, Rosickas, and soon Amorim. In fact, I think if they even try and fight, Amorim will be on top of them, and that will change this battle entirely, James, as the group behind them has regained its traction, I should say, as, of course, Minkler and Cooper Smith are just running their laps together. It's Schwartz, Peterson, Dyer, and Listeners now regained his group on his place with that group here. But we'll have to see if the Schwartz is with Dave and he can hold this position.
I don't know whether or not it's more appropriate to make that joke this week or next week, since we are 6 days away from Star Wars Day, actually.
We are, exactly.
Yeah, we are.
And next race, of course, will be the day after Star Wars Day. So, let's hope it is. And, don't forget the merchandising.
Revenge of the 5th. Last I checked. So easy. As a Star Wars Day baby myself, that's an easy holiday to remember and never a question. So
absolutely. As we just get a bucket hat gift in the podium broadcast chat there from our producer Ryan Bauer. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm hoping to see some Star Wars liveries on this next race, considering it's the 5th, guys. Come on. Do it for me.
Gotta have like Darth Vader, Insidious, and Palpatine, and all those guys. But yeah, big time.
Here we go. This is the big one now. White flag is out on this race, and Amarim has dropped back a bit, but Rizikas is all over Pies, and this is going to be the last chance he really has to do anything about it. And the same we'll see with Schwartz, Peterson, Dyer, and Listener. And let's see if Schwartz can get it into Plaid here and get away from these guys behind him, as we get a little bit of contact there with Peterson and Dyer, and that could really open it up. In fact, it has. Schwartz has actually managed to get away there, kicked it into ludicrous speed as they just checked up from a little bit of a wobble, and I have given too many Spaceballs puns.
You can't go wrong with too many Spaceball puns right there, Rachel, as we watch our top two battle it out for the race lead. Right now, they just came out from underneath the Corvette bridge, coming up to turn number 7. Christopher Pies has pulled a little bit of a gap by about 3 car lengths between him and Liam Brazitas, but as they come back through turn number 8 towards the carousel, it's pretty much the same battle. But the one that we're keeping an eye on besides this race lead, as we keep an eye, is of course that battle between Dave Schwartz and Leif Peterson.
It absolutely is, and it was bigger gap, it was a smaller gap before with Schwartz and Peterson, but now after that bobble, Dwyer and Peterson are really looking at each other. But Listener's also a critical one in the background there, as the gap has actually opened slightly with Rizikids and Pies. I don't think we're going to see a change there in terms of positioning. Amarim's dropped back even further, I think, as Pies is running for his life here into Canada Corner. Can he hold it together for a couple of more turns? This is going to be it now for the Pro Series. Brought to you by Porsche. The first round of PCA Series 6 is about to come to a close, and it is this tight. Will he get the run he needs? Can Rizikas find anything left in the tank here as we come down to our closest finish yet this season? But it's not going to happen for the Canadian driver. Christopher Pies brings it home with Rizikas in second. Looking back to that group behind them, still Mickler and Cooper Smith, but Schwartz will hold on ahead of Leif Peterson, Jordan Dyer, and Jason Listener for those final top 10 spots. Wow, that was a great ending.
Really solid competition there. Just a shame that we had the incident over in turn 5 a few laps before the checkers to break that group up, because it was so fun to watch. That's, I think, the worst part of it. But even then, not a bad finish for Robert Rattray. Ends up in the 13th spot, just ahead of Jason Stanley, Patak Chan, Drawhorn, everybody coming over. And only about, I think, what? Is that 8 cars that finish a lap down or more? And even then, everybody that isn't running right now did not finish the race and had to pull off and either lost connection or fell out of the race early. So still have 25 cars running at the end of this, and on the lead lap. Solid work from everybody.
Absolutely amazing work from everybody here, of course. And Taylor, what's your stand-up battle of this one?
Certainly has been, as we watch this battle right here between Carlos Lopez as well as they come up to the final couple of corners here. Carlos Lopez in the 28 against Chris Braun. You're on board with Braun as they come to the final corner, turn 14. Can we see a crossover? Not close enough, as Braun will, unfortunately, let's see, gets a good toe up the hill. Is not going to be able to get that position by the looks of it.
Yeah, absolutely, of course, and that was huge. We had an absolutely massive race from these guys here as people are starting to wind down here in the final moments as sunset approaches here at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America in the Pro Series. Let's go to your post-race results. Christopher Pies brings it home with a win here at Elkhart Lake, with Liam Rizikas coming home just so close in second, 0.2 behind. So number 3 is Raphael Amram comes home in third, with zone number 1's Michael Cooper Smith in fourth. Rich Minkler of Zone 9 in 5th, with Dave Schwartz of Zone 7 in 6th. 7th is Leif Peterson with Jordan Dyer in 8th. 9th is Jason Lissner, and 10th, Joe Stiffel.
11th in this race was Al Burke. James Hughes finished in the 12th spot. 13th went to Robert Rattray, and Jason Stanley was 14th. 15th to James Patak. Arthur Chan was 16th this evening. 17th belonged to Trey Drawhorn, and Eisenring finished in the 18th spot. 19th to Jonathan Schum, and 20th to Christian Rava.
Steven Chan comes home 21st, followed by Rick Reisenberg 22nd, Carlos Lopez in 23rd, followed by Chris Braun in 24th, Richard Franco 25th, followed by Billy Smith II in 26th, Kenny Brown 27th with Cameron Martineau 28th, 29th Chabarlo Benyopaje with 30th William Anderson. And 31st is Michael Tennis, Gabriel Albano 32nd, and Rodney Campbell rounds out your 33-car field.
Well, what a fantastic run we've had tonight. We'll hopefully get a chat to those Pro Series drivers straight away rather than during the next race, as this is the final of the 4 races tonight. I believe we're going to have Christopher Pies with us right now here, actually. Your winner tonight, the 14 driver, Christopher Pies, second on the grid to first in the race. Christopher, stunning job tonight.
Thank you. I hope that was as much fun to watch as it was in the car, because that was pretty intense with Liam coming up there at the end.
Well, it looked like the battle between Canada and Texas tonight as you held off Rizikis. Just how challenging was that? Was it a major threat in your rearview mirrors there?
Luckily, when I got into a little bit of a groove about mid-race and was just turning laps, hitting my marks, and just being nice and consistent. But once Liam got past Billy there towards the end, I knew he had pace to come from where he came from on the qualifying, and basically up to second. So I had a pretty good idea that he was going to be chasing me down, and sure enough, he slowly started feeding it in. It looked like I was a little bit quicker through the carousel and the kink section of Road America.
Believe we have a little bit of a talking issue there with Christopher Pies. Perhaps the packets were not as quick as his race car was. We have you still, Christopher? Christopher Pies. Well, we're going to go to Liam Rizikis real quick whilst we try and get Christopher Pies back with us. James Pike is standing by with him.
Have a word here with some of our top finishers, and we'll chat with Liam Radzitis and see what he was up to. Liam, it was so tight, and I think it's hard to explain what it's like racing at this sort of level for anyone who isn't part of the competition. So from the driver's perspective, even though you're that close to Chris Pies, how tough is it to keep pace with him and not let him come off the front? How hard are you pushing just to make sure that you maintain pace with the leader in a situation like that?
Oh, it was very hard, especially because we had our third place driver coming up from behind us, and a draft track like this, once they get within about a second, that means they'll start catching up. So it's a big deal to manage the gap between third place and also try to see if I could keep Chris nearby to try and make a move, but didn't all come together, but came close.
Not quite there, but P2 to start this series off, good points day. Not what you want, but big picture, a very solid platform to begin a title charge in Series 6 in the Pro class, where you've had pace before, especially in this particular car.
Yes, I'm pretty excited. I wasn't expecting to come even near the podium tonight, so it was really nice points. Nice.
Watkins Glen is track number 2 on the calendar. I think everybody's got some experience there, and I guess the only question is, how do you feel like the race here will differ from what we saw in Series 1 or Series 3?
I think what's going to be different is just the competition. It's really heightened since those series. A lot of the pro classes, it's really been built up over the years, so I think we're looking at probably one of the most competitive pro fields yet.
Liam, congratulations on your podium finish. Thanks as always for the time to chat with us, and we'll see you in New York next Wednesday night.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Really fast run there from Liam Radzitis, Rachel. He was quick all night long. Very solid P2 for him.
Absolutely was. We're going to hopefully quickly get a chance to chat to Rafael Amarim, and Taylor Burrows is standing by with him.
He was Raphael, congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. You were closing in on the top two. Did you feel like you had something for the top two?
Yeah, I was trying to get close and get on the draft and then see what was going to happen. They're just both great drivers and tough racers, so I wasn't sure if there was going to be a window, but I wanted to be close enough in case they were fighting and something happened. Well, P3, but so happy with the result. Great race.
What is one of the things that you find interesting about this track, Road America?
Oh, it's a great track. It's so challenging because it's fast, but at the same time it's very technical, and especially with the Cup car, it's so tough to be fast here and also be consistent. So I think it's a track that challenges you to be on your game every lap and really to maintain your focus throughout the race. One little mistake will cost you the entire race.
Well, before we let you go, anyone you would like to say thank you to?
Well, as always, thank you for all the sponsors, for Hagerty, Porsche. This is amazing, and I'm so happy to be part of this again. Thank you for everyone on the community. I think we have some great folks and great racers, and it's so friendly. So I wanted to thank everyone, and obviously, as always, thank my wife that keeps up with me and supports me through all of my endeavors.
That is Rafael Amorim coming home in third place tonight. And Rachel, let's see if we can get Christopher Pies back one more time.
I think his packet's caught up with his race car. Christopher, do we have you?
Yes, I do. Sorry about that.
Awesome. Hey, these things happen. We know about it. Overall, the race for you, you talked about the getting into the groove there with the car. Is this something you're hoping to do the rest of the season? Are you hoping to basically put this car at the front as you go forwards? And is this a run for a championship?
I'm definitely hoping so. This is probably the car out of the entire iRacing service that I'm the most confident in relative to the other ones. So I have a lot of time in it, and I just really enjoy the way it drives. So to see the Cup car return to Season 6 plays into my advantages in terms of my ability to drive the car for sure.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully we can see something really special this season. Anybody would like to give a shout out to or thank?
Yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to thank the Porsche Exchange up in the Chicagoland area for being fantastic sponsors, and my family for putting up with my crazy hobby that is racing, and my real life racing team that I race with, which is Denton Brothers Racing and Casey Carden Motorsports. Thanks, guys, for letting me do this in real life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Christopher Pies coming home with a win today in the pros class. Well, folks, for Doug Atkinson, Jim Hemmick, and the steering committee at the PCA Sim Racing group here, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scaramuza, and John Theodore at Podium Esports. For our producer, Ryan Bauer, and my colleagues James Pike and Taylor Burris, I'm Rachel Whiteford. Thank you so much for watching tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing, presented by Hagerty. We hope you will join us next Wednesday live from Watkins Glen. We'll see you then.